Chapter 2501 Tokens use Lu Ming and the rest did not interrupt the conversation between the white-haired elder and the ancestral dragon. The Titan longhorn beetle also kept its mouth shut. This was a martial god. Only the ancestral dragon, who was also a martial god, had the right to speak to such a person. Otherwise, if it wasn't for the ancestral dragon, he probably wouldn't even want to see them. That's right. Well, work together. You can help us enter the Netherworld Island and split the treasures we get on the island 50-50. It's beneficial to everyone. How about it? Zulong said. Yellow Springs Island? The white-haired old man was stunned for a moment. Then he sighed and said, "It seems that you all came from beyond the heavens. Time passes so quickly. The tribulations have passed so quickly." The white-haired old man's voice was filled with complicated emotions. The white-haired old man seemed to think of something, and after a long while, he said, "You can go now. My Yellow Spring sect has no interest in Yellow Spring Island." Not interested? Zulong's eyes narrowed. Lu Ming and the rest were shocked. Was he going to fail? Fellow Taoist, how about this? As long as you do us a favor, all the treasures we get on the Yellow Springs Island will belong to you. How about it? Zulong was unwilling to give up and continued. I said, "I'm not interested. See the guest out." The white-haired old man waved his sleeve and turned to leave. "Everyone, please." The middle-aged man from before waved his hand. Lu Ming and the group looked a little pale. He didn't expect that the people of the Yellow Springs sect didn't care about the treasures on the island at all. If they couldn't get help from the Netherworld sect, how could they fight against the Netherworld Empire and the Divine Ancestor? The Titan longhorn beetle and the others were anxious, but they couldn't think of anything. "Hey, let's go." Zulong was also helpless. He turned around and walked down the mountain. Soon, they arrived at the foot of the mountain. If you don't want to help, then don't help. At most, we'll go and save them ourselves. It's just death. The Titan longhorn beetle cursed, feeling extremely unhappy. However, Lu Ming stopped and continued to study the stone tablet in front of the Yellow Spring sect. The more he looked at it, the more he felt that the stone tablet looked familiar. That's right, that token. Suddenly Lu Ming thought of the token. With a thought, a token appeared in his hand. This token was the one that he and Dandan had obtained in the core area of the Void God Island. The appearance of this token was very similar to the stone tablet in front of the Yellow Spring sect's mountain gate. Previously, the stone tablet was covered in moss. Lu Ming felt that it looked familiar. Now that he took a closer look, Lu Ming finally remembered. Buzz. Just as Lu Ming took out the token, the stone tablet in front of the mountain gate of the Yellow Spring sect suddenly trembled. The yellow character suddenly emitted a dazzling radiance. At the same time, the token in Lu Ming's hand also vibrated, and light flowed out continuously. The next moment, Lu Ming was shocked to discover that a word had suddenly appeared in the middle of the token. It was a yellow word. Lu Ming was shocked. Ever since he had obtained this token, he had studied it a lot, but he had not found anything. There were no words in the middle of the token either. But now, a yellow character had suddenly appeared. This way, the token and the stone tablet looked exactly the same. The ancestral dragon, the 9 lives devilish silkworm, the Titan longhorn beetle, and the others were also extremely shocked, not understanding what was going on. At this moment, a figure flashed. The white-haired old man reappeared. He looked at the token in Lu Ming's hand in shock. Then he looked at Lu Ming and said, "The underworld token. How did you get it? How did you get it?" Yellow Springs token? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It turned out that this token was called the underworld token. "Senior, this token was obtained by this junior from a Void God Island," Lu Ming said. "Void God Island? Tell me, who gave you the token? What does he look like?" The white-haired old man asked, puzzled. Lu Ming immediately described the appearance of the statue on the Void God Island. So it's him, it's heaven's will." The white-haired elder sighed and looked at Lu Ming. "Back then, that person did us a favor. We gave him this token and promised that if someone came to our sect with this token, we would help them unconditionally." What? Lu Ming, Zulong, and the others were overjoyed when they heard this. Help him unconditionally once? Then, he could ask for help from the Netherworld sect. "What's your name?" the white-haired old man asked. "Junior is Lu Ming." Lu Ming said. "Yes, Lu Ming. If you have any requests, feel free to let me know." The white-haired old man said. "Senior, it's like this." Immediately, Lu Ming briefly explained the grudges between the Heaven Realm and the Evil God tribe, then he talked about the situation here. "I ask for the help of the seniors of the Yellow Spring sect to fight against the Yellow Spring Empire and enter the Yellow Spring Island." Lu Ming made his request. "I'm afraid it's very difficult for us to enter the Netherworld Island alone," the white-haired old man said. "Alt? What's going on?" Lu Ming was surprised. "You don't know yet, right? The entrance to the Netherworld Island is guarded by a group of puppets. There are 4 puppets in this group, which are equivalent to the martial god realm. Therefore, we can't get in with our strength alone," the white-haired old man said. "4 war god realm puppets." Lu Ming, the ancestral dragon, the Titan longhorn beetle, and the rest looked at each other. This Yellow Springs Island was too terrifying. There were 4 martial god realm puppets at the entrance. They were martial gods. One had to know that there were only 2 martial gods in the Evil God realm and Heaven realm, and they were both injured. Lu Ming finally understood why the divine ancestor of the non-human race had not entered Netherworld Island. It was because he could not. Therefore, if we want to enter the Yellow Springs Island, we must cooperate with the Yellow Springs Empire, the white-haired old man said. "Cooperation?" Lu Ming and the rest were in deep thought. "Senior, please help us save our people." Lu Ming said. "That's fine. They'll gather some people and then set off," the white-haired elder said. Then he turned around and disappeared into the Yellow Spring sect. "Brother Lu Ming, you're amazing." Qing Tsang and the others were overjoyed. He did not expect that he would be able to get help from the Netherworld sect with Lu Ming's token. Lu Ming sighed secretly. Life was really wonderful and unpredictable. He had not expected that the token he had obtained on the Void God Island would be of such great use in the Yellow Springs world. This token would probably be able to change the entire situation. Not long after, a large number of experts flew out from the mountain peak of the Yellow Spring sect. Next to the white-haired old man, there was another white-haired old woman, who was also at the martial god realm. The group flew towards the capital of the Netherworld Kingdom. Chapter 2502 War Gods gather in a golden palace in the capital of the Yellow Springs Empire. The non-human divine ancestor, the emperor of the Yellow Springs Empire, and a grand elder were also discussing something. "Your Majesty, is there no way to enter the Yellow Springs Island?" the non-human divine ancestor said. "There are 4 puppets at the entrance of the Netherworld Island. We can't do it alone. We have to cooperate with the Netherworld sect. However, the 2 old fogies of the Netherworld sect are stubborn and have a grudge against us. Even if we go to them, I'm afraid they won't agree," the emperor of the Yellow Springs Empire said. "No matter what, I have to give it a try. How about this? After I deal with Zhu Long and the others, I'll go to the Netherworld sect and see if I can invite those 2 to come out," the non-human divine ancestor said. After chatting for a while, the non-human divine ancestor left. Lu Ming and the rest set off and met up with the people from the Heaven Realm. Then, they headed for the Netherworld Imperial Capital. In the Netherworld Imperial Capital, outside the Eastern City Gate, nearly 200 people, including Long Chen and Feng Ling, were tied up outside the city gate. It had been more than a month. It's been more than a month, and no one has come to save you. It seems that you people from the Heaven Realm have given up on you. Ha! Duo Lei stood above Long Chen's group and sneered coldly. Long Chen and the others looked cold and did not respond. "I'm telling you, there's no hope for the Heaven Realm. You've been completely defeated. This time, in the Yellow Springs world, my clan will kill all your experts. When we get out, we'll flatten the Heaven Realm and kill all of you," said Duo Lei resentfully. "Duo Lei, do you only know how to talk now?" At this moment, a mocking voice sounded. "Who is it?" Duo Lei suddenly turned around, his cold eyes sweeping across the room. "Me!" The voice rang out. Then, the void rippled and a figure appeared. That person was Lu Ming. However, he was the only one who appeared. Lu Ming. Upon seeing Lu Ming, Duo Lei's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Buzz. Whoosh. The void trembled and cracked open. From the spatial crack, figures stepped out one after another. They were all experts from the Evil God Tribe and the Yellow Spring Empire. There were no less than 10 peak heavenly emperors. Their terrifying auras completely enveloped Lu Ming. When they saw Lu Ming, Long Chen, and Feng Ling, their faces changed. Lu Ming, let's go. Leave quickly. Phoenix Spirit and Dragon Chen shouted. Leave? To where? Lu Ming, you dare to come alone. You're really stupid. Stay then. Duo Lei sneered. Oh really? Look who this is. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He reached out and grabbed at the air. A figure suddenly appeared in his hands. The first prince. Seeing this person, Duo Lu and the others' expressions changed drastically. Lu Ming, release the first prince. Duo Lei shouted anxiously. He had never expected that the first prince was in Lu Ming's hands. If you want me to let him go, that's fine, but you have to let him go first. Lu Ming said. Alright, well release one and you'll release one. Said Duo Lei. Ah, what a joke. You guys let one go? I'll use the first prince in exchange for all of you. Do you understand? Lu Ming laughed out loud. All of them? Impossible, don't even think about it. Duo Lei shouted. If you don't let go, hell die. Lu Ming said coldly, his body exuding a cold killing intent. Duo Lei's group grimaced. They were hesitant. The first prince's status was no small matter. He was the son of the king of the number 1 royal tribe. He was extremely talented, and his bloodline was the closest to the non-human divine ancestor. He was known as the most talented person in the history of the Evil God Tribe. They couldn't bear the responsibility of such an identity if he died. Let go or not? Lu Ming said coldly. This was their plan. Lu Ming would first exchange the first prince for Long Chen and the rest. It would be best if the exchange was successful. There would be no risk. After all, if they were to fight, the situation would become chaotic. Long Chen and Huang Ling would not be able to fight back, and it would still be risky. Duo Lei and the other experts of the Evil God Tribe were hesitant. For a moment, the situation was in a stalemate. Boom. At this moment, the sky cracked open and a terrifying palm stretched out, blasting towards Lu Ming. The power of the palm was terrifying and unstoppable. Even a peak heavenly emperor would be turned into ashes under this palm. The war god. It was obvious that the divine ancestor of the non-human race had made his move to kill Lu Ming. Even the first prince was caught up in it. A dragon's roar shook the heavens and earth as a huge dragon claw formed and grabbed at the giant hand. With a heaven-shaking roar, the giant hand collapsed and the dragon claw retracted. The next moment, a figure appeared beside Duo Lei. This figure with long golden hair was the non-human divine ancestor. The ancestral dragon's figure appeared beside Lu Ming. Ancestral dragon, you've come. The non-human divine ancestor said coldly. His long golden hair fluttered in the wind, making him look majestic. Emoku, you're really ruthless. In order to kill Lu Ming, you don't even care about the life and death of your descendants? Zulong said. Anyway, his cultivation has already been crippled. He's just a piece of trash. It's fine if I kill him. The non-human divine ancestor said coldly. Mok, you're still as cold and ruthless as ever. Zhu Long laughed sarcastically. Ancestral dragon, I knew you would show up. All of you from the heaven realm have come. Today you will stay here forever. The non-human divine ancestor said coldly, and a terrifying aura exploded out. Space trembled, and 2 figures suddenly appeared next to the voice of the non-human divine ancestor. One was the emperor of the Yellow Springs Empire, and the other was a supreme elder. The 2 martial gods of the Yellow Springs Empire had appeared. Mok, do you think he'll come unprepared? Zhu Long sneered, his face calm. The next moment, 2 figures suddenly appeared beside Lu Ming. They were the 2 martial gods of the Netherworld sect. It's you guys. Seeing the 2 martial gods of the Netherworld sect, the emperor of the Netherworld Empire widened his eyes in surprise. I didn't expect that you too would come out of the mountain even though you claim to be indifferent to the world. The Emperor of the Yellow Springs Empire spoke with a faint mocking tone. You don't need to meddle in our business. Lungin, let him go. The white-haired old man from the Yellow Springs sect said. Long Yen was the name of the Emperor of the Yellow Springs Empire. It's not that easy to release them. The non-human divine ancestor said with a dark expression. Long Yen had once said that the two martial gods of the Netherworld sect did not care about worldly affairs. They were old and stubborn, and it was very difficult for them to leave the mountain. He did not expect that they would be with Lu Ming and the others. In this way, his advantage was gone. How could he be in a good mood? He was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. The advantage that he had spent so much effort to gain was gone just like that. Moke, it seems like you want to start a war. Zulong said. The dragon power on his body was getting stronger and stronger. Chapter 2503 Attacking Yellow Springs Island Translator. 6 martial gods appeared outside the east gate of the capital. The 6 martial gods confronted each other and emitted terrifying fluctuations. Their auras filled the sky and earth, shrouding the entire imperial capital of Netherworld. All the living beings in the capital felt as if there was a huge rock pressing down on their hearts. It was so unbearable that they wanted to vomit blood. The auras of the 6 martial gods were too terrifying. If they were to fight, it would probably be earth-shattering. The atmosphere at the scene was extremely heavy. How about this? At this moment, the Emperor of the Yellow Springs Empire, Long Yen, looked at the white-haired elder and said, Elder Huang, if you agree to join hands with us to break through the puppets outside the Yellow Springs Island and help them enter the island, we can let these people go. Long Yen still wanted to let the divine ancestor and the others enter Netherworld Island, as they had already agreed on a 50-50 split of the treasures they obtained on the island. They couldn't enter the Yellow Springs Island themselves. If they missed this opportunity, they would have to wait for another 10,000 tribulations. The non-human divine ancestor's eyes flashed, but he didn't say anything. He also wanted to enter the Yellow Springs Island. Lu Ming, what do you think? The white-haired elder looked at Lu Ming. The non-human divine ancestor, Long Yen, and the others were all very surprised. The white-haired elder, a martial god, actually wanted to ask for Lu Ming's opinion. What was their relationship with Lu Ming? Agree to their request. However, we must also enter the Yellow Springs Island together. Lu Ming said. This was the only way to save Long Chen and the others. All right, let's join forces. However, they have to enter the Yellow Springs Island together. The white-haired elder pointed at the ancestral dragon, Lu Ming, and the rest. All right, then it's settled. The non-human divine ancestor, Long Yen, and the others pondered for a moment before nodding in agreement. Although they did not want Lu Ming and the rest to enter, they would not be able to enter without the help of the white-haired elder and the rest. Now, they could only enter the Netherworld Island first. After entering, they would rely on their own abilities. As long as I get the fruit of life, killing heart, and I will recover from our injuries. At that time, let's see how you guys die. The non-human divine ancestor thought to himself. Release them. Long Yen ordered. Immediately, someone broke the seal for Long Chen, Feng Ling, and the others, and everyone regained their freedom. Lu Ming, you have saved me again. Long Chen sighed as he came to Lu Ming's side. Lu Ming. Yen Ming smiled sweetly and came to Lu Ming's side. It's good that you're fine. Lu Ming said with a smile. After a brief chat, Lu Ming found out that Long Chen and the rest were exploring some cursed lands. When they came out, they were surrounded. Elder Huang, when do we make our move? Long Yen looked at the white-haired old man. 1 year later. The white-haired old man said. This was the time that Lu Ming and the rest had set. They needed time to gather the people from the other realms. Only when more people entered the Yellow Springs Island would they have a higher chance of obtaining an opportunity. All right, we'll meet here 1 year later. Long Yen said. Then, they returned to the capital of the Netherworld Empire. Lu Ming and the rest also left the place. After that, he met up with the Titan Longhorn and the others, and they arrived at a famous mountain. This famous mountain was extremely famous in the Yellow Springs world. One only needed to ask a little to know. Then, they spread the news and gathered the people of the heaven realm here. At the same time, the ancestral dragon and some other experts personally went to some cursed lands to search for people from the heaven realm. At the same time, the evil god race also sent out a message to gather the evil god race members that were scattered all over the world to gather at the netherworld imperial capital. For a time, the evil god tribe and heaven realm beings that were scattered all over the place gathered toward these two places. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. The living beings of the heaven realm had basically all gathered here. Those who didn't come were mostly dead. Lu Ming did a quick calculation. There were only about 1,000 people gathered here. When they first entered, there were thousands of people. Now that their numbers had been reduced by half, it was clear how many people had died. Once the time was up, they set off for the netherworld imperial capital. When they arrived, there were already thousands of people gathered outside the east gate of the capital. Some were from the evil god tribe, and some were from the Yellow Spring Empire. Let's go! The two sides gathered, and the dragon flames were the first to fly in one direction. The netherworld island was not in the imperial capital of the netherworld. It was to the south of the capital. They flew for a few hours before an abyss appeared in front of them. This abyss was extremely wide, and no one knew how long it was. Boom, boom, boom. At the bottom of the abyss, there was the sound of flowing water. Everyone looked at the side and found that the bottom of the abyss was filled with yellow water. Yellow spring water. Everyone was shocked. Could it be that the netherworld's water all flowed here? The netherworld island is on the opposite side of this abyss. However, no living creature can cross this abyss. No living creature can fly over it. If they try to fly over it by force, they will fall into the abyss. If we want to pass through this abyss, we can only pass through the bridge ahead. Long Yan said. The group flew along the abyss and saw a stone bridge. The stone bridge was very large and wide, and it led to the other side of the abyss. However, as they neared, there was a constant flash of light near the stone bridge, and a figure appeared. The puppet. However, these puppets were all in human form. They wore blood-red battle armor and their eyes were filled with blood-red light. Is this a puppet of a Ray Dao? Lu Ming muttered. Previously, he had already learned from the white-haired elder and the others that the puppets formed on this stone bridge were formation Dao puppets that were formed by a large formation. Even if they were killed or defeated, they would reform after a period of time. Trespassers will be killed. A huge puppet shouted, its aura shaking the heavens and earth. The martial god realm. This puppet was at the martial god realm and was extremely terrifying. There were 3 other puppets that weren't any weaker than this puppet. There were a total of 4 martial god realm puppets. Apart from these 4, there were more than 100 puppets. They were all extremely terrifying and were all at the heavenly emperor realm and above. Everyone's expression turned grave. According to the plan, the 4 of us will each hold off 1 battle god realm puppet. The 2 of you will not be at your peak state. You will assist one of us to kill 1 puppet with all your strength, and then help the others. Long Yan looked at the non-human divine ancestor and the ancestral dragon. The 2 martial gods of the Yellow Springs Empire and the 2 martial gods of the Yellow Springs sect could each hold off 1 martial god puppet. The forefather and the ancestral dragon worked together to help one of them defeat a martial god puppet. All right. Elder Huang nodded. Those at the void transformation stage and above, follow me and kill. Those at the void transformation stage and above, attack. Long Yan and Old Huang spoke one after the other. Then they stepped forward and charged toward the puppets. Trespassers will be killed without mercy. A martial god puppet held a long spear and charged toward Long Yan. Boom, boom. A deafening boom suddenly erupted in the area. The battle of the martial gods had begun. Chapter 2504 Pass. Intense battle erupts. The 4 martial gods of the Netherworld Empire and the Netherworld sect fought against the 4 martial god puppets respectively. Their attacks were very simple. There were no complicated gaudy moves. Every punch and every palm strike was very direct, but the power was terrifyingly strong. Each punch and palm had the power to destroy the world. A peak emperor would be blown up with each move. The 4 martial god puppets wore blood-red armor, and each of them held a spear. They were like invincible generals, their spears piercing through the air with unparalleled killing intent. The 8 people on both sides were locked in a fierce battle. The ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor looked at each other, their eyes gleaming. In the past, it was impossible for them to join forces. But now, they could only join forces. The 2 of them moved and pounced toward the puppet that was fighting Long Yen. The 3 of them joined forces and attacked the puppet with their own abilities. The ancestral dragon, the non-human divine ancestor, was injured and not at his peak, but the 2 of them together were still equivalent to a martial god. The 3 of them joined forces and immediately suppressed the other party. No one dared to go near the war god's battlefield. The battle between Lu Ming and the rest of the puppets had also broken out. However, it was far away from the battlefield of the martial gods. These puppets also had astonishing combat strength. There were many experts, peak heavenly emperor, and even half a step into the martial god realm. However, the number was a little low, only around 2. The number of Lu Ming and the rest was even greater. They were from the Heaven Realm, the Evil God Tribe, the Yellow Spring Sect, and the Yellow Spring Empire. The 4 sides added together had far more puppets. Boom, boom. Lu Ming controlled the 9 divine 9-dragon cauldron and joined forces with Xian Yanqing to fight a puppet at the peak of the Heavenly Emperor realm. This kind of puppet was formed by a large array, but its entire body seemed to be made of an extremely hard metal. It was indestructible, and every move it made was powerful. It collided with the divine 9-dragon cauldron, causing it to shake continuously. Xian Yanqing's body was surrounded by black light, which condensed into lotus swords. They were extremely sharp and attacked from the side, leaving sword marks on the puppet's body. Although the puppet was strong, the 2 of them working together could still suppress it. For example, Qing Tsang and the Titan Longhorn Beetle had almost all joined forces. They had the upper hand. Of course, this was only possible because they had joined forces. Otherwise, no 1 or 2 of them would be a match for these puppets. Bang, bang. Not long after, a puppet was blown up, turning into energy and dissipating. The puppet that Lu Ming was fighting with was beheaded by Xian Yanqing. Lu Ming controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron and crushed the puppet into pieces. Qing Tsang, the Titan Longhorn Beetle, and the Evil God Tribe had all achieved victory. 1 puppet after another was destroyed. A moment later, more than 2 puppets were all destroyed and the scene was cleaned up. Now there were only 4 war god golems left. At this moment, the ancestral dragon, the non-human divine ancestor, and Long Yen had gained the absolute advantage. The martial god puppet was in a precarious situation, and its body was covered in cracks. Divine power. Dandan stood there and sighed with envy. Shin power. Lu Ming's gaze turned to Dandan. The power controlled by the martial god is divine power. It's an extremely terrifying power. Laws, great Taos, and heavenly Tao are like tofu in front of divine power. Dandan said, feeling even more envious. Not to mention him, which peak heavenly emperor wouldn't be envious? Lu Ming could tell that the power used by the ancestral dragon, the divine ancestor of the foreign tribe, and the martial god of the netherworld had nothing to do with laws or heavenly Tao. It was a terrifying and indestructible power. This power enveloped their entire bodies, making their attacks indestructible. At the same time, their defensive power was also shockingly high. This kind of power is similar to Little Qing's power, but it's many times stronger than Little Qing's. Lu Ming thought to himself. The crowd watched from afar. They had no power to interfere in the battle between the martial gods. Bang! At this moment, one of the puppet's arms shattered, and its aura began to weaken. Zulong, the non-human divine ancestor, and Long Yan's spirits were roused, and all kinds of attacks poured out like a storm. Bang! Bang! As they attacked, the puppet's body kept exploding. With a loud boom, it exploded and turned into waves of energy that dissipated. As the puppet was destroyed, the outcome was already decided. The 3 of them joined forces to attack another martial god puppet. Together with the other puppet, they were 4 against 1. This time, it didn't take long for the puppet to be destroyed. Just like that, they attacked one martial god puppet at a time and destroyed them one by one. After 10 minutes or so, the remaining martial god puppets were all destroyed. Buzz! Buzz! As soon as all the martial god puppets were destroyed, the ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor returned to their respective forces and stood guard against each other. Alright, you can cross the bridge. We from the Yellow Springs world can't cross. Long Yen said and retreated to the side with the people of the Yellow Spring Empire. The people of the Yellow Spring sect also retreated to the side. Ancestral dragon, let's have a showdown after crossing the bridge. The non-human divine ancestor looked at the ancestral dragon. Just what I wanted, the ancestral dragon said. In the next moment, both sides moved, rushing towards the stone bridge. The stone bridge was very wide, and the people from both sides each took one side. They looked at each other as they charged towards the other side of the stone bridge. This stone bridge was really long. It was thousands of miles long, which showed how wide the abyss was. However, to them, a distance of several thousand miles could be crossed in the blink of an eye. Soon, they had crossed the stone bridge. On the other side of the stone bridge was a hilly area that stretched as far as the eye could see. Kill! The ancestral dragon roared and pounced toward the non-human divine ancestor. Fight! The non-human divine ancestor's fighting spirit soared as he fought with the ancestral dragon. Kill! Kill! The evil god race and the living beings of the heaven realm were also filled with killing intent. They turned into streaks of rainbow light and collided with each other. Boom! Boom! The entire region was boiling. The space was torn apart and terrifying energy spread in all directions. Qing Tsong turned into a 9-headed golden lion. The 9 heads roared and pounced on Xiang Duo Lei. The Titan longhorn beetle also transformed into its true form. Its horns were like battle blades as it fought a peak heavenly emperor of the evil god tribe. In addition, the 9 lives devilish silkworm and the others were also fighting against the other side's experts. Lu Ming controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron and swung it continuously, blowing up a 6-star celestial, the arch of the evil god tribe. Lu Ming die. A figure suddenly charged toward Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. This was a member of the royal family of the evil god tribe. His purple hair was like a waterfall, and he had an overbearing aura. He gave Lu Ming an extremely strong sense of pressure. Lu Ming controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron and blasted it at the man. Boom! The man struck out with his palm and collided with the divine 9-dragon cauldron. Buzz! The divine 9-dragon cauldron shook violently and was thrown backward. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force surging toward him. His body shook violently and he was forced to retreat. He spat out a mouthful of blood. He's an invincible expert who's half a step into the martial god realm. Lu Ming was shocked. Chapter 2505. The ancestor of techniques disciple existences who were half a step into the martial god realm were known as demigods and invincible powerhouses. As long as the martial god did not appear, they would be invincible. Such people were extremely rare. Each one of them was terrifyingly powerful. The Primal Chaos Emperor, Hunyuan Sect's Sect Master, and Undying Emperor were all such people. There wouldn't be too many in the entire Heaven Realm or the Evil God Realm. Initially, Lu Ming had thought that this time around, people of such a level would not enter Netherworld Mountain. Instead, they would stay outside to guard against the enemy. He did not expect that the Evil God tribe would bring people of such a level in. At this moment, they suddenly launched an attack and wanted to kill Lu Ming. Kill! The evil god tribe member's killing intent was cold, and his aura was as deep as the ocean. He took a few steps forward and charged toward Lu Ming, sending out a few terrifying palm prints. Lu Ming did not dare to be careless. He activated the power of the divine 9th dragon cauldron to the extreme. Xian Yanqing had also arrived. Endless black lotus sword Qi gathered into 3 beams and slashed toward the evil god demigod. The attacks from both sides collided, and a violent explosion occurred in the area. The divine 9-dragon cauldron shook violently. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force surging towards him. His body flew out and he spat out another mouthful of blood. Fortunately, his life force was extremely tenacious. If it were anyone else, they would have been more seriously injured. Xian Yanqing was slightly better off than Lu Ming, but he also kept retreating, his face pale. Even when the two of them joined forces, they were still no match for the other. Demigods were too powerful. They were known to be invincible, and that wasn't just for show. Even two peak heavenly emperors wouldn't be a match for a half-god. What? The demigod of the evil god race looked at Xian Yanqing in shock. He did not expect that there would be such a young powerhouse in the heaven realm other than Lu Ming. Such a character had never appeared in the evil god tribe since ancient times. The more talented he was, the more he had to be killed. The demigod of the evil god race had his purple hair flying in the wind. His aura was at its peak as he glared at Lu Ming and charged toward him. Compared to Xian Yanqing, he wanted to kill Lu Ming more. This was because the divine ancestor of the non-human race had ordered that Lu Ming must be eliminated if there was a chance. A purple combat sword formed in his hand. The sword chi shot up into the sky and was extremely terrifying. As a half-god, you're really shameless to deal with a junior. Your opponent is me. Die. A cold voice rang out, and countless bolts of lightning shot toward the demigod of the evil god race like thunder dragons. Every bolt of lightning gave off a heart-palpitating aura. Even with Lu Ming's current cultivation level, he could feel a strong sense of danger. The evil god race demigod's expression changed as well. He turned his purple sword around and slashed out one shocking sword light after another, clashing with the lightning and sending out a terrifying force. In the end, the sword chi and the lightning both disappeared. A figure suddenly appeared in front of Lu Ming. One of them was a human, wearing a lightning armor with bolts of lightning dancing on it. This person was tall and slender. He looked to be around 30 years old. Of course, this was only on the surface. In reality, he might have lived for countless years. I didn't expect you to come in here, he said. The eyes of the evil god race's demigod turned cold. Heavenly lightning? Could it be the heavenly thunder emperor? Lu Ming was slightly shocked. He had stayed in the heaven realm for so many years, so he had more or less heard of some of the top experts. Supreme Emperor Sky Thunder was also known as a Supreme Emperor. Without a doubt, he was in existence on par with the Chaos Supreme Emperor and the Undying Supreme Emperor. A demigod and an unrivaled expert. Furthermore, he had another identity, and that was the disciple of the ancestor of technique. Who was the ancestor of technique? He was a peerless expert who had created the nomological cultivation system at the end of the primordial era. He was a shockingly talented and rare peerless figure. Such a person was simply too amazing. With his own strength, he had created a law system and made it so strong that it surpassed many ancient cultivation systems. However, the ancestor of technique suddenly disappeared at the end of the immemorial era. No one knew where he went. Therefore, when the evil god tribe invaded the heaven realm in the ancient times, the ancestor of technique did not appear. Heavenly Thunder Emperor was one of the ancestor of technique's disciples, and his background was not to be underestimated. If you can come in, I can naturally come in as well. We haven't fought for many years, so let's fight again today. Heavenly Thunder Emperor was extremely powerful. His entire body was covered in lightning, and he turned into a bolt of lightning that charged toward the demigod of the evil god race. The two of them engaged in an intense battle. Meanwhile, Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing attacked the other evil god races. In the middle of the battle, Lu Ming suddenly realized that the area was covered in fog. Fog was constantly rising from the ground. Boom. Lu Ming controlled the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron and blasted it toward one of the evil god tribe members. He was about to hit the other party, but for some reason he suddenly missed. The other party's figure disappeared in an instant. The other party didn't have the time to retreat. It was as if the space between them had suddenly been pulled apart. He wasn't the only one. The others at the scene also noticed the abnormality because they had already calculated the distance when they attacked. However, when they attacked, they realized that the distance between them and the enemy had increased in an instant. At this moment, the fog was getting thicker and thicker, blocking his vision. Their line of sight was constantly shortening. Everyone stopped and didn't make a move. They looked around in surprise. Lu Ming suddenly realized that the people who were further away from him were completely shrouded in fog. He could not see their figures at all. "Gather!" Zhu Long shouted and called the Heaven Realm people to gather. "Assemble!" The non-human divine ancestor also called out. "Buzz!" Bush. The two sides charged toward the ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor. However, as they rushed out, they realized that the ancestral dragon or the divine ancestor was getting further and further away from them. Then they disappeared before their eyes. "Senior!" Lu Ming rushed over, but he did not discover anything. The ancestor dragon had disappeared. Lu Ming turned around and realized that even more people had disappeared. Long Chen, Huang Ling, Lu Xiangxiang, Ouyang Moli, and the others had all disappeared from Lu Ming's sight. As for Xian Yanqing, he was the closest to Lu Ming. At this moment, his figure was also fading. Little Qing, Lu Ming, the two of them charged at each other, but it was very strange. The two of them weren't far from each other. In the past, they would have reached each other in a single step. However, no matter how hard they tried, they realized that their figures were getting fainter and fainter. Eventually, they completely disappeared from sight. "Little Qing!" Lu Ming shouted and rushed to the place where Xian Yanqing had been standing. However, he did not find anything and did not hear any response. Everyone disappeared just like that. Other than the thick fog, Lu Ming was the only one left in the world. There should be a large array here that separated everyone. Lu Ming pondered. This should be the most likely possibility. Chapter 2506 Danger on Yellow Springs Sea. Looking around, all he could see was white fog, and his vision was at least 2 meters. 2 meters away, everything was in a daze. Nothing could be seen. At the same time, the world was completely silent. Not a single sound could be heard. Lu Ming focused his attention and paid attention to his surroundings. He did not dare to be careless. No one knew what kind of danger they would face next. Lu Ming waited for a moment but realized that there was no movement at all. Other than the thick fog and the emptiness, there was nothing unusual. After a moment, Lu Ming decided to take action. He could not just wait here. Based on his senses, Lu Ming identified the direction of the abyss and walked in the opposite direction. Lu Ming's speed was not fast. He maintained a constant speed as he advanced. In front of him was a hilly area. Lu Ming had been walking for more than 10 days. He had no idea how far he had covered. During this period of time, there were no abnormalities, nothing attacked him, and he did not encounter any danger. Voila! At this moment, the sound of water flowing came from the front. Lu Ming was in high spirits. For more than 10 days, they had to move forward in a silent fog with a vision of less than 2 meters. This feeling was very uncomfortable. If it were an ordinary person, they would have gone crazy. However, cultivators were determined. A dozen days was nothing, but it was not a good time either. Lu Ming was overjoyed to hear the voice. Lu Ming strode forward. A moment later, there was light in front of him. Lu Ming's vision suddenly widened. There was no fog in front of him. What he saw was an ocean, a boundless ocean. Lu Ming was now on a beach. This seawater, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed when he saw the seawater. This was because the seawater here was yellow. It was clearly the water of the yellow spring. So much yellow spring water. Could it be that all the yellow spring water is flowing here? Lu Ming was extremely surprised. Standing on the beach and looking out, one could see the islands in the ocean. Some of the islands were very close to Lu Ming and they looked like small black dots. Then, Lu Ming saw a small boat on the beach. The small boat looked like it was made of wood, but it was completely fine as it floated on the Yellow Springs water. This cursed land is called Netherworld Island. Could it be a small island in this ocean, and I have to take this small boat to get to it? Lu Ming pondered. The next moment, the archweapon appeared in Lu Ming's hand and he threw it out. Lu Ming's strength was so great that the Emperor weapon flew out like a bolt of lightning. However, when the Emperor-level weapon flew into the Yellow Spring Sea, it seemed to encounter a strong resistance and slowed down. At the same time, there seemed to be a force of attraction in the Yellow Spring Sea, and the Emperor-level weapon fell into the sea and disappeared. Lu Ming shook his head with a bitter smile. Indeed, flying was not feasible. He could only take this small boat. However, Lu Ming did not board the ship and set out to sea immediately. Instead, he searched around the area, hoping to find the others. Unfortunately, he didn't find anything. It was as if he was the only one left in the world. I guess everyone's experience is similar to mine. They should all see a small boat and take it out to sea. I believe we'll meet again when we reach the Yellow Springs Island. Lu Ming pondered and then jumped onto the small boat without any hesitation. With a burst of energy, the small boat sailed out like an arrow. Let's go to the nearest island first. Lu Ming headed to the nearest island. It didn't seem to be very far from the island, but when they rushed over, they realized that it was really very far away. The main thing was that the water here was all netherworld water. He couldn't speed up the boat, so it took more than an hour to sail a small distance. Lu Ming did not notice that not far away from him, a figure had suddenly emerged from the sea. The upper body of this figure was that of a human, while the lower body was that of a snake. This was a Naga. However, he could actually survive in the netherworld water. If Lu Ming and the rest saw this, they would definitely be shocked. Has the myriad tribulation passed again? It's been a long time since I've exercised my muscles and bones. I hope I won't be disappointed. The Naga sneered before diving into the sea and disappearing. Lu Ming continued to steer the boat forward. All of a sudden, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He felt a sense of danger. Without thinking, Lu Ming turned around and threw a punch behind him. A terrifying fist force pierced through the void and blasted out. A figure rushed out from the sea behind him. It was the Serpent Man, and his entire body glowed. He condensed a long spear and thrust it at Lu Ming. It was hit by Lu Ming's fist force and exploded with a bang. The powerful force carried Lu Ming and the small boat and retreated rapidly. Serpent Men? It's actually coming out from the Yellow Spring. Lu Ming was shocked. Kid, your reaction is not bad. The Serpent Man sneered, his narrow eyes filled with excitement. Who are you? Lu Ming asked. If you want to know, you have to defeat me first. The Serpent Man said coldly. That's good, then I'll defeat you first. Lu Ming said. With a thought, the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron appeared. However, as soon as the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron appeared, it seemed to be suppressed by a powerful force and shrank rapidly. Then, it turned into a ray of light and flew into the space between his eyebrows, disappearing. Lu Ming was a little stunned. Haha, you still want to use treasures against me? Let me tell you, in this place, you can't use any treasures. You can only rely on your own strength. Do you understand? The Serpent Man laughed. I can still defeat you without any treasures. Lu Ming maneuvered the small boat and charged toward the human-snake hybrid. At the same time, a purple-gold radiance was emitted from Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming used the way of domination and condensed a purple-gold spear. At the same time, he burst out with his physical strength. Lu Ming used all his strength as soon as he attacked. He swept his spear and the purple-gold spear enlarged rapidly, sweeping toward the Naga. This is the path of a hegemon. How is this possible? At this moment, the human-snake hybrid was completely stunned. He stared at Lu Ming with his eyes wide open. He had a very shocked expression on his face and had completely forgotten to defend himself. Boom! Lu Ming's spear struck the Serpent Man's body. The Serpent Man's body exploded, turning into energy and disappearing. It's not the main body, but a projection. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. At the same time, he was curious and surprised. This was because the Serpent Man had just mentioned the Tao of Domination. The Serpent Men actually knew about the Tao of Domination? Lu Ming was even more puzzled. Back then, the ancestral dragon had also said that this was the power of a ruler. Now, this Serpent Man had also said that this was the way of a ruler. Most importantly, the name of this power was given by Lu Ming himself. This was because this power had a domineering aura. It seemed that there were other people in the world who could control this power, and they were also called this. Chapter 2507 First Island. There's a statue here in the Cursed Lands, and it's filled with sovereign will. And yet, this Naga here recognized my Tao of Sovereign with a single glance, and was so shocked. What's the connection between all of this? Lu Ming kept thinking, and many thoughts flashed through his mind. After a while, Lu Ming shook his head. He could not figure it out and decided not to think about it anymore. Lu Ming continued to steer the boat and headed for the nearest island. At this moment, on the island that Lu Ming was going to, there was a human-snake hybrid who was shouting and laughing excitedly. Haha, the way of the Dominator. It's actually the way of the Dominator. I thought that it would be a great fortune to have someone who had the hope of comprehending the way of the Dominator this time, but someone who has already comprehended the way of the Dominator has come. Haha, I didn't expect this. Could it be that the heavens didn't want us to die? No, I have to tell the others about this. The human-snake hybrid was dancing with excitement. It was the human-snake hybrid who had attacked Lu Ming previously. After mumbling to himself for a while, the serpent man's body began to glow. Then, another serpent man appeared and rushed out. He plunged into the yellow spring sea and disappeared. Not long after, the projection of the serpent man appeared on another island and met up with the other living beings. Why did you call us over in such a hurry? One was covered in flames and seemed to be made of magma. Big discovery, big discovery. The myriad tribulation has passed again. The living beings from the outside have come in again. The Naga shouted. Nonsense, do you think we don't know? Many people have already set off to take the test, and some have even landed on some islands. The magma-like creature said in disdain. I'm not talking about that. Did you know that I just found a human from the foreign tribe who has mastered the way of domination? The way of domination? Ha! The serpent man laughed excitedly. The entire scene fell silent. The other living beings stared at the serpent man in shock, and their breathing began to become heavy. What did you just say? You say, someone has mastered the Tao of a ruler? A humanoid creature with a pair of transparent wings opened its mouth and was tongue-tied, looking extremely excited. Yes, it's absolutely true. There's no mistake. The Naga nodded. Ah, good, great. We have hope. Haha. Following that, the few living beings began to laugh madly, as if they had gone mad. No, I have to report this to the Lord. Wait for me. I'm going to report this to the Lord and let him make a decision. The humanoid creature with the transparent wings said. Go, quickly go. The others urged. Then, the winged humanoid creature soared into the sky and left, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The others waited patiently. They didn't have to wait too long before the human-shaped creature with transparent wings returned. How is it? What did Darren say? The others quickly asked. Master said to adjust the assessment method for that person. The specific assessment method is like this. The creature with the transparent wings explained the test method. It's that difficult? The others stared at each other. His Excellency said that this is not difficult. If he can't even pass this, then there is no hope for us. If he passes, then there is a chance to help us complete that task. The winged being said, What if he doesn't pass? The others asked. Then kill them. The winged being's eyes flashed with cold killing intent. This, all right. The others sighed and left one after another, starting to set up. Of course, Lu Ming did not know that there were some difficulties waiting for him in front. He steered the small boat and kept moving forward. Finally, a few hours later, he arrived at the nearest island. The island wasn't big, but it was lush and had some vegetation growing on it. Lu Ming leaped onto the island. When Lu Ming leaped onto the island, the small boat dissipated with a bang and disappeared. Lu Ming frowned slightly. It seemed that he could only move forward and not backward. Without thinking much, Lu Ming walked toward the depths of the island. Lu Ming had not gone far when he suddenly heard a sharp sound behind him. A sharp light was aimed at Lu Ming's back. Without thinking, a purple gold spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand. He swept it across and blocked the attack behind him. Boom. There was a loud boom and Lu Ming's figure drifted backward slightly. At the same time, he saw a figure drifting backward. You again. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. It was that human-snake hybrid again. However, this time, Lu Ming could tell that the other party had come in person. Kid, that was just my projection. The serpent man sneered. Who the hell are you? Also, how did you learn about my Tao of domination? Lu Ming asked a few questions in succession. If you want to know, you have to beat me first. The human-snake hybrid sneered. With a flick of his body, he charged toward Lu Ming again. The long spear in the Naga's hand was as fast as lightning, and its power was shocking. Lu Ming exerted all his strength, his physical body and the Tao of domination. His long spear trembled as he attacked the serpent man. The two of them exchanged dozens of moves in a flash, and it was difficult to determine the winner. His strength is about the same as mine. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He realized that the Naga's strength was almost the same as his. It couldn't be such a coincidence unless the other party had intentionally suppressed his strength to the same level as him. Buzz. All of a sudden, the human-snake hybrid's attack changed. The long spear turned into hundreds of phantoms and stabbed toward Lu Ming. It was hard to see the real and the fake. Lu Ming squinted his eyes slightly. He was highly focused and his figure retreated continuously. All he could see were the illusionary images of the long spears. All of a sudden, Lu Ming moved. He only thrust his spear. This spear did not stab at any of the spear shadows but at a void. Bang! When Lu Ming stabbed at the void, there was a loud boom. A long spear suddenly appeared in the void, while the other illusionary spears disappeared without a trace. Kid, your battle awareness is not bad. However, this is far from enough. Again. The Naga's eyes brightened slightly, and then he launched another attack. His figure flickered and he attacked Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. This time, his attack was even stranger, trickier, and more unpredictable. For a moment, Lu Ming was forced to retreat. The other party's strength was similar to Lu Ming's, but his attack method was more mysterious than Lu Ming's. He could often catch Lu Ming off guard. I'm going to lose just because we have the same strength? I want. Lu Ming roared in his heart. He became more and more focused and entered a mysterious mode. It was as if everything in the world was under his control. Bush. Lu Ming's long spear pierced out continuously. Each spear was able to block the other party's attack. Bang, bang. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had exchanged more than 100 moves with the other party. Lu Ming had already completely adapted to the other party's attack method. Chapter 2507 Terrifying Lava Giant. After fighting for so long, Lu Ming had completely adapted to the opponent's attacks. Although the opponent's attacks were strange, Lu Ming could block them every time. At times, Lu Ming did not even need to deliberately block. It was as if it was an instinct. When the other party attacked, he would instinctively attack and block the other party's attack. Buzz. Bush. After Lu Ming had adapted to the opponent's attack, he began to counterattack. Every move was aimed at the opponent's flaws. Lu Ming could often discover the other party's flaws in the nick of time and counterattack. This battle awareness. The more the Serpent Man fought, the more shocked he became. At the same time, he was also excited. In the blink of an eye, the two of them exchanged another 100 moves. At this time, the human-snake hybrid was completely at a disadvantage and was forced to retreat by Lu Ming. I'm done. All of a sudden, the Serpent Man raised his spear and a shocking force exploded. Lu Ming was immediately bounced away. It was clearly the power of a peak heavenly emperor. After the human-snake hybrid flicked Lu Ming away, he did not pursue him. Instead, he shouted and stopped fighting. I won. Lu Ming asked. You win. The Naga said. However, she was not unhappy at all. On the contrary, she was very excited. Her pair of eyes swept up and down Lu Ming's body as if she was looking at a treasure. Lu Ming felt goosebumps all over his skin. Cough, cough. Senior, poor you. Lu Ming asked again. Me? He's the gatekeeper of this place. The Naga said. The gatekeeper? Lu Ming was puzzled. That's right. The gatekeeper. You outsiders must take the test to enter the Netherworld Island. We, The gatekeeper will send you to different islands according to your performance. Let me tell you, there are many opportunities on many islands. It will be very beneficial for you outsiders. The Naga said. Then how can we enter the Yellow Springs Island? Lu Ming asked again. Of course, it's to pass all the stages. Just now, I tested your combat awareness. Your combat awareness is not bad, so you've passed the stage. The Naga said. Senior, how do you know that the power I control is the Tao of a sovereign? Have you seen it before? Also, I see statues in the cursed lands outside, and they all seem to contain the will of a sovereign. What's going on? Lu Ming asked a series of questions. You'll naturally know these questions after you pass through all the checkpoints. Now, you'll pass through this island and go to the next island. The Naga said. Let's go to the next island. Didn't they say that there are many islands with opportunities? Does this island not have any? Lu Ming's eyes darted around. Stop looking. There's nothing on this island. After saying that, the Serpent Man's figure moved and he disappeared. Lu Ming was speechless. Other people had the opportunity to pass the test, but he didn't get anything. Lu Ming moved forward dejectedly. He passed through the island and saw a floating bridge on the beach in front of him that extended to the next island. From a distance, the island was a sea of red, as if it was filled with flames. It was obvious that his path had already been arranged. He could only go to this island because only this island had a path. The other islands had no paths. Lu Ming stepped onto the pontoon bridge and increased his speed, moving forward at top speed. When Lu Ming approached the island, he realized that the island was really covered in flames. It was like a flaming mountain. The scorching aura could be felt even from far away. Very soon, Lu Ming officially arrived at the island. What a high temperature! Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Lu Ming could feel that the temperature of any part of the island was tens of thousands of degrees. At this temperature, not to mention ordinary people, even many hard refining materials and some special metals would be turned into ashes. Even Lu Ming had to channel his energy to resist it. Lu Ming stepped onto the island. The moment he did, the floating bridge in the Yellow Springs Sea disappeared. Lu Ming started to patrol the area. There was nothing. This island was completely silent. There was no vegetation or living beings on it. This island should be the second stage. What will be there? Lu Ming did not dare to be careless and was on his guard. Boom, boom. All of a sudden, Lu Ming felt the ground shake. There seemed to be a giant walking toward him. Boom, boom. The rumbling sound grew louder and louder. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. He saw a giant walking toward him. One of them was a giant that was covered in flames. His body seemed to be made of lava. He was dozens of meters tall and looked like a small mountain. Boom. After a short while, the giant raised his fist and smashed it down on Lu Ming. In the process of smashing, the giant's fist wriggled and turned into a giant hammer. Lu Ming was shocked by the terrifying power. You can't take it head-on. Lu Ming had an idea in his mind and he retreated quickly. In my hands, you can't escape. I'll go with you, the giant said. He took a step and leaped up at an astonishing speed. He approached Lu Ming with extreme speed and punched continuously with both fists. Balls of lava flew out of his body and turned into lava fists, blasting toward Lu Ming. There were too many lava fists and each one of them was extremely fast. Lu Ming tried his best to dodge, but he could not avoid all of them. Lu Ming could only use the way of domination to condense a long spear and sweep it out, sweeping it towards the lava fists. Boom! Lu Ming felt a terrifying force surging towards him. His body flew out directly and crashed into a small hill. He spat out a large mouthful of blood. Peak Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming's eyes were extremely solemn. The lava giant was a peak Heavenly Emperor. As for this place, it was the same as before. Lu Ming could not control the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. Without the ability to control the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron, Lu Ming could only reach the level of a 6-star Heavenly Emperor by relying on his own strength. Even if he used his physical strength and the Dominator's power, he would not be a match for the other party. Bang! The lava giant took a step forward and charged at Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. It launched another attack. It pushed with both hands and a huge meteorite was formed. It was covered in lava and it fell towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming exerted all his strength and stabbed out a shocking spear radiance. However, Lu Ming's spear radiance shattered under the impact of the meteorites. The huge meteorites landed on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming was sent flying again and he vomited blood. Lu Ming felt as if his body was about to split apart. The terrifying lava wrapped around him, and he felt as if his body was about to turn into ashes. If not for the fact that he was circulating the indestructible ancient scroll to block it with all his might, he probably wouldn't have been able to withstand it. However, the magma giant didn't stop and threw another punch. Lu Ming was already injured. How could he have the strength to resist? He was sent flying and his injuries worsened. All the bones in his body had been broken into tiny pieces. Chapter 2508 Powerful Pressure. Lu Ming was no match for the lava giant at all. Even if he gave it his all, he was only equivalent to a 6-star heavenly emperor. There was a huge difference between him and a peak heavenly emperor. Lu Ming was severely injured and had no strength to fight back. Am I going to die here today? Lu Ming had a thought in his mind. He was unwilling, extremely unwilling. At the same time, he was worried about Xian Yanqing, Lu Xiangxiang, and the others. He had encountered such a difficult and dangerous situation. What about Xian Yanqing and the others? He was unwilling to give up and wanted to resist. He desperately urged the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. However, there was a force between heaven and earth that was too strong and completely suppressed the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. Bang! The magma giant landed beside Lu Ming and looked down at him. You are too weak. The magma giant opened his mouth. The magma on his body flowed, and his expression could not be seen at all. If you want to kill me, then kill me. If you want to humiliate me, don't even think about it. Lu Ming said coldly. Don't worry. I won't kill you now. The magma giant seemed to smile and continued, I won't kill you now, but that doesn't mean I won't kill you in the future. I'll give you a chance now. I'll give you 50 years. You can only stay on this island for the next 50 years. You have to find a way to defeat me. If you can't defeat me after 50 years, I'll kill you and destroy your soul. Do you understand? After saying that, the magma giant turned around and left. Not long after, he disappeared from this place. Giving me 50 years, is this a test? Lu Ming pondered. Then, Lu Ming sat cross-legged and circulated the indestructible ancient scroll with all his might to begin healing. Although his injuries were severe, they did not harm his core. Under the effect of the indestructible ancient scroll, he recovered quickly. Not long after, Lu Ming was fully recovered. If I want to defeat the magma giant within 50 years, my combat strength must be at least stronger than an ordinary peak heavenly emperor. After his injuries were healed, Lu Ming had to think about this problem. 50 years might seem long, but to ordinary people, it would pass in the blink of an eye. It would be difficult to surpass an ordinary peak heavenly emperor in 50 years. Given Lu Ming's current situation, there were only 2 ways for his combat strength to surpass that of an ordinary peak heavenly emperor. The first was a physical breakthrough. Lu Ming had now cultivated the 7 gods' mysterious technique to the middle of the 6th stage. His physical strength was equivalent to a 4-star heavenly emperor, or he might be able to suppress an ordinary 4-star heavenly emperor. As long as he cultivated the 7 gods' mysterious technique to the late stage of the 6th stage, his physical strength would skyrocket and he would be equivalent to a peak heavenly emperor. In addition to the power of the way of domination, Lu Ming was confident that he could defeat the lava giant. However, it would be extremely difficult to improve the 7 gods' mysterious technique after he had cultivated it to this level. If he were to cultivate step by step, it would be normal for him to spend tens of thousands of years or even hundreds of thousands of years. The experts among the immemorial body cultivators took a long time to break through each step. The reason why Lu Ming had broken through so quickly previously was that he had too many opportunities. He had obtained various rare treasures one after another. Each of those treasures was a rare treasure in the world. Lu Ming's physical body broke through one after another after refining such a treasure. If Lu Ming cultivated step by step, his physical state would not be able to reach his current level. It was almost impossible to cultivate his physical body to the level of a peak heavenly emperor within 50 years. The second path was to cultivate the ruler Dao to peak emperor. Lu Ming's path of domination was too powerful. It could allow him to cross an entire realm. As long as he cultivated the path of domination to the peak great emperor realm, Lu Ming's combat strength would be equivalent to that of a peak heavenly emperor. Then, with the strength of his physical body, he could defeat the lava giant. However, to reach peak emperor in 50 years was even more difficult than breaking through to the physical body. The higher the realm, the more difficult it was to break through. Previously, Lu Ming had been able to break through continuously because he had comprehended the dominator's will on the statue. However, it had taken him decades. Now, it was even more impossible for him to comprehend it on his own and break through within 50 years. However, Lu Ming had to do it. Lu Ming had no doubt that if he could not defeat the other party 50 years later, he would definitely be killed by the other party. What should I do? Lu Ming's mind was racing. This must be a test. If it wasn't, he could have killed me right now. Since it's a test, there must be a chance of survival. By the way, the Serpent Man said that there are some opportunities on some islands. Perhaps there are similar opportunities on this island that can help me break through. At the thought of this, Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he began to search the island. The island was not very big. It had a radius of several thousand miles. Very soon, Lu Ming had searched through it. There was nothing. There was no vegetation or life on this island. There were only flames and only one lava lake. The temperature was terrifyingly high, at least a dozen times, or even 100 times higher than the outside. There's nothing here. How am I supposed to break through? Lu Ming was in deep thought. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, a violent explosion was heard again. The huge lava giant had come again. Brat, do you think you can defeat me just by standing here in a daze? I'll hammer you. The lava giant roared. Its arm turned into a huge lava hammer and smashed toward Lu Ming. Don't think that I'm easy to bully. Lu Ming was furious and fought with the other party. However, after a few moves, Lu Ming was beaten to the ground and was seriously injured. I just think you're easy to bully, so what? If you have the ability, hit me. The magma giant called out in a very annoying manner. After that, he laughed and left. Lu Ming was so angry that he almost vomited blood. All along, he had been the one suppressing others. This time, he was suppressed by a stupid big guy. He was really depressed. No, I must break through within 50 years. I can't die here. Lu Ming's gaze became determined and he started to heal his injuries. After his injuries were healed, Lu Ming began to comprehend the way of the master. While Lu Ming was cultivating, the lava giant did not come to deal with him. Cultivation knew no time, and in the blink of an eye, a year had passed. In the past year, Lu Ming had focused on cultivating the path of domination, but he had little to no gains and his progress was slow. No, I can't reach peak emperor in 50 years if this continues. Lu Ming muttered to himself. Even if he were to spend a few times more time on it, he would still be unable to comprehend it step by step like this. Lu Ming's talent was already high enough. If it was someone else, if they did not have the opportunity and cultivated step by step, they would not be able to do it even after 50,000 years, let alone 50 years. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the magma giant appeared again after a year. The moment he appeared, he raised his fist and smashed it down. Naturally, Lu Ming was no match for the other party. Very soon, he was severely injured. Brat, you haven't improved at all. I think he'll be dead in 50 years. The lava giant left after saying this. Chapter 2510. Tempering the body. Lu Ming was so angry that he vomited blood. In particular, the magma giant's annoying look made Lu Ming so angry that he gritted his teeth. However, Lu Ming had no choice but to reconsider the problem of cultivation. No, it's impossible to reach the peak of Great Emperor in 50 years without any outside help. I might as well cultivate my physical body. There are flames everywhere and the temperature is shockingly high. If I keep burning my body, It'll be better for me to temper myself. I might as well cultivate my physical body and have a glimmer of hope. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and decided to cultivate his physical body. It was not just because of the environment. There was another reason. There was only one bottleneck in the cultivation of the physical body. Once this bottleneck was broken through, Lu Ming's physical strength could reach the peak of the Heavenly Emperor realm. However, Lu Ming was only a 5-star Great Emperor. He would have to face 2 bottlenecks before he could reach the peak Great Emperor realm. It was easier to break through 1 bottleneck than 2. Having made up his mind, Lu Ming put aside the path of domination and began to cultivate his physical body. Lu Ming removed the defense on the surface of his body and activated the 7 gods' mysterious technique. Instantly, the temperature outside reached tens of thousands of degrees Celsius and enveloped Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body emitted a sizzling sound. Buzz. Lu Ming's muscles trembled. When his muscles trembled, the high temperature outside seeped into the depths of Lu Ming's body, helping him to temper his body. After cultivating for a while, Lu Ming took out an emperor's medicine and refined its energy to aid his cultivation. A few days later, Lu Ming stopped cultivating. It's effective. The speed of cultivation here is several times faster than other places, but I can't break through in 50 years. Lu Ming furrowed his brows in deep thought. In this place, with the help of the high temperature, it was indeed faster to cultivate the physical body than outside. However, it was not so fast that it was exaggerated. Lu Ming estimated that it would be difficult to cultivate to the later stage of the 6th stage within 50 years. Let's go to that lava lake. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he thought of the lava lake. There was a lava lake on the island, and the temperature was at least dozens of times higher than outside. Lu Ming wanted to cultivate with the help of the lava lake. This was a cruel and extreme method. However, Lu Ming had no other choice now. Let's go! At the thought of this, Lu Ming dashed towards the lava lake. When he arrived at the lava lake, waves of terrifying heat surged toward Lu Ming. The temperature was 10 times higher than other places. He was only standing on the side, but the temperature here was already extremely terrifying. Lu Ming had no choice but to channel his energy to resist. Let's get used to the surroundings first. Lu Ming was not in a hurry to dive into the lava lake. The temperature down there was too high. It was far from what ordinary lava could compare to. It was too terrifying. If Lu Ming were to jump down directly, he would probably be melted by the strength of his body. At once, Lu Ming stood by the lava lake, put down his defense, and began to cultivate. As soon as he removed his defense, a terrifyingly high temperature enveloped Lu Ming's entire body, as if his body was about to burn. Green smoke rose from Lu Ming's body and he felt a tearing pain all over his body. However, Lu Ming did not even frown. This bit of pain was nothing to him. Indeed, Lu Ming felt that cultivating here would be more effective. Lu Ming revealed a look of joy. Then he calmed his breath and focused on cultivating. Time flew by, and 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming had already fully adapted to the high temperature of the lava lake. In the past 3 years, the lava giant did not come to look for Lu Ming. Buzz. Suddenly, Lu Ming opened his eyes and leaped into the lava. 3 years of adaptation was enough. Now, he wanted to use the magma to temper his body. It had been more than 4 years since he came to this island. Time passed quickly, and 50 years would pass in the blink of an eye. He had to seize the time. After jumping into the lava, Lu Ming sank into it and the terrifying lava enveloped him. It hurt. It was extremely painful. Lu Ming discovered that his skin was beginning to melt. Following that, his muscles were also beginning to melt. Block it! Lu Ming growled. He circulated the indestructible ancient scroll to recover rapidly while at the same time, he circulated the 7 gods' mysterious technique to use the high temperature to temper his body. In the end, it was still blocked by Lu Ming. Although he was not in pain all the time, the effect of cultivating here was indeed much greater. This was an extremely extreme cultivation method. Ordinary people would not be able to withstand it. This was because the physical body was constantly in the process of melting and healing, back and forth. How many people could withstand such pain? Just like that, Lu Ming focused on cultivation. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, more than 20 years had passed. Lu Ming had been on this island for almost 30 years. However, Lu Ming's physical body still had not broken through. It was still at the middle of the 6th stage. Not enough. Continue going down. Lu Ming started to sink. The deeper he went, the higher the temperature of the lava lake would be. After descending a few hundred meters, the temperature here was several times higher than above. Lu Ming continued to cultivate. Not far away, the magma giant was watching. This kid is determined and decisive. He's ruthless to himself. Not bad, not bad. The magma giant murmured. Then he turned around and left. Lu Ming continued to cultivate, completely forgetting the time. Every once in a while, he would sink down for a while. In the end, he had almost reached the bottom of the lava lake. Break through! On this day, Lu Ming let out a low growl. His muscles and bones trembled violently, giving off a thunderous explosion. There were also the roars of dragons. Boom, boom. The lava around them exploded continuously, and the bottom of the lava lake seemed to have a giant wild beast rolling. Boom. Suddenly, the lava exploded, and a figure rushed out of the lava lake. This figure exuded a shocking aura. This figure was naturally Lu Ming. At this moment, his muscles were trembling and the qi and blood in his meridians were surging like an angry dragon. He was extremely powerful. He had broken through. His physical body had finally made a breakthrough and reached the late stage of the 6th level of the 7 Gods' mysterious technique. At this level, the strength of the body was equivalent to a peak heavenly emperor. It was almost cultivated to the peak. After a long while, the aura on Lu Ming's body was concealed. Lu Ming had an idea and a piece of clothing appeared on his body. His clothes had long been burnt in the lava lake. After 46 years, I've finally broken through. Lu Ming's eyes were bright and his lips curled into a smile. It had been 46 years since he came to this island. In these 46 years, Lu Ming did not rely on any rare treasures. He relied purely on his own perseverance to break through the bottleneck and push his physical body to the peak. 46 years old. If those old guys from the immemorial body cultivators knew that he had cultivated his physical body to this level, they would probably be dumbfounded. Chapter 2511 Suppressing a Peak Heavenly Emperor. However, at this stage, the 7 Gods' mysterious technique could no longer be cultivated. Although there was still a 7th level to the 7 Gods' mysterious technique, there were only 4 words for it. 10,000 yuan returned to 1. This was the complete content of the 7th stage of the 7 Gods' mysterious technique. Lu Ming was confused. Boom, boom. At this moment, a series of rumbling sounds came from the distance. The magma giant had appeared again. Brat, you've been hiding for so long and you finally dare to show yourself. Come and take my punch. Before the magma even reached him, he had already thrown out a punch. A huge fist condensed from lava came crashing toward Lu Ming with shocking power. If this had happened when Lu Ming had just arrived on the island, he would not have been able to withstand the punch and would have been injured. But now, boom. Lu Ming's muscles trembled and he threw a punch across the air. Lu Ming did not use the power of the way of domination in this punch. He only used his physical strength. With a punch, the void was directly pierced through, revealing a pitch-black void. Endless void storms condensed into fist force and blasted toward the magma fist. Boom. Their attacks collided with each other and the entire island shook. Then they disappeared in pairs. Ah, kid, it seems like you've broken through. Come, play with me. The magma giant laughed and rushed toward Lu Ming in big strides. Today, I'm going to give you a good beating. An ominous glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. His muscles and bones trembled. His body passed through space and appeared in front of the magma giant. He punched out with both fists. The magma giant was also filled with a strong will to fight. It moved its body and threw magma fists at Lu Ming. The two of them engaged in an intense battle, and it was difficult to determine the winner in a short time. Not bad, kid. You can fight with me now. However, you're still not strong enough to defeat me. The magma giant grinned. Then add a little more. I was just stretching my muscles and bones just now. Lu Ming sneered. He had indeed been stretching his muscles and bones just now. His physical body had just made a breakthrough, and his power had skyrocketed. He needed to get used to it, so he didn't use the power of the path of domination just now. He just relied on his physical strength. Now, he had more or less adapted. Boom. The aura on Lu Ming's body grew stronger. His entire body was shrouded in a layer of purple gold light. With the addition of the Dominator's Dao, Lu Ming's combat strength had undoubtedly increased by a notch. Although the increase was not particularly significant compared to his physical strength, it was enough to suppress the magma giant. Boom, boom. Lu Ming started to attack again. The purple gold fist radiance broke through the air and destroyed the magma giant's attack in an instant, forcing it to retreat. After more than 10 moves, Lu Ming seized the opportunity and punched the magma giant's chest. The magma giant's chest exploded, leaving a large hole that was transparent from the front and back. However, the lava giant seemed to be made of lava, and it recovered in the blink of an eye. Not bad, kid. You win. The magma giant shouted. Again. We're not done yet. Continue. Lu Ming shouted and continued to attack. Lu Ming had been beaten up by the lava giant a few times previously, and he was really angry. He would not be able to calm down if he did not return the favor. Nest, kid, I've already let you win and you're still fighting. The lava giant cried out and was punched in the face by Lu Ming. Half of his face had exploded, but he recovered in an instant. However, Lu Ming kicked the lava giant's stomach again, sending it flying. Lu Ming took a step forward and chased after it, continuing to attack. You're shameless. You're still attacking? Stop it. The lava giant kept screaming. However, its vitality was too tenacious. It was hit by Lu Ming's continuous attacks as if nothing had happened. It could not be killed at all. However, he still felt pain after being hit, so he kept screaming. Lu Ming only stopped after he was hit dozens of times. At this time, the magma giant looked at Lu Ming with a resentful gaze. It was like a young girl in her prime had been humiliated by a thug. Petty and vengeful. The magma giant muttered. What did you just say? Lu Ming widened his eyes. Nothing much? You've passed. Go to the next island. The magma giant turned around and ran, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming revealed a smile. His current strength was finally at the peak of the heaven realm, the evil god realm. Without the divine nine-dragon cauldron, he could suppress a peak heavenly emperor with his own strength. In the current heaven realm and evil god realm, other than the unrivaled powerhouses who were half a step into the martial god realm, there were still true martial gods. He no longer had any opponents. However, in the entire heaven realm and the evil god realm, how many demigods and martial gods were there? He had finally reached the realm and the existence that he had once looked up to through his hard work. What's on the next island? Lu Ming took a step forward and came to the other end of the island. Indeed, he found a floating bridge that led to the next island. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He stepped onto the floating bridge and headed to the next island. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at the next island. This island was completely different from the previous one. It was full of vitality, with green trees and a faint fragrance in the air. Lu Ming strolled around the island and arrived at the center. There was a huge mountain peak here, and at the foot of the mountain was a cliff. Lu Ming's eyes widened. He discovered that there was a huge statue at the bottom of the cliff. This statue was exactly the same as the statues that Lu Ming had seen in the other cursed lands. However, it was many times larger. Moreover, the statue was also filled with a domineering aura, and it was extremely strong. Even from a distance, Lu Ming could feel a strong dominator's aura spreading in all directions. Following that, Lu Ming's gaze shifted upward and he noticed that there was a large word carved on the cliff above the statue. The word, battle. 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 When Lu Ming's gaze was fixed on the word battle, loud roars suddenly came from the word. They were filled with an endless fighting spirit. It was as if an unrivaled expert was fighting a great battle. The next moment, the voice disappeared. However, The word battle began to distort in Lu Ming's eyes. A mysterious concept emerged in Lu Ming's mind. It was as if the word battle represented the source of all battle, combat power, and combat techniques. It was extremely profound and unfathomable. How amazing! This is too amazing. In just a few breaths, Lu Ming seemed to have a new understanding of the various combat skills and divine abilities that he had cultivated in the past. It's not bad to be able to reach this island. At this moment, a voice came from behind Lu Ming. Chapter 2511 Mysterious Battle Word. A voice suddenly came from behind Lu Ming, startling him. There was someone behind him, but he didn't notice it at all. With his current cultivation and powerful spiritual sense, he did not even notice that someone was standing behind him. Lu Ming's back was covered in a layer of cold sweat. He quickly turned around and saw a middle-aged man with a pair of transparent wings on his back. He was standing not far away, looking at Lu Ming with a smile. Lu Ming's eyes were solemn. "You're the guardian of this island?" "No, I can't be considered a guardian." The man with the transparent wings shook his head and said, "Strictly speaking, those are the guardians." His finger was pointing at the statue and the word battle. "That's the true guardian?" Lu Ming had a puzzled look. "Not bad. I know you've comprehended the Tao of Sovereign. This trial is very simple. If you can fully comprehend the will of Sovereign from the statue within 100 years, as well as the word battle, you'll pass." The man with the transparent wings said, "What if I don't fully comprehend it within 100 years? Lu Ming asked. "If you don't fully comprehend it, it'll come and kill you." The transparent winged man smiled and said casually. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. He did not doubt the other party's words at all. This man with transparent wings gave Lu Ming an unfathomable feeling. Lu Ming felt that he was definitely not his match. This person was at least a half-god, or even a martial god. "Seize the time and properly comprehend it. I'll go with you," the man said. He then turned and took a step, disappearing. Lu Ming could not tell how the other party had disappeared. Taking a deep breath, Lu Ming walked toward the cliff. 100 years. Lu Ming did not believe that he could not fully comprehend the nominator's intent on the statue and the word battle. Lu Ming sat down cross-legged not far from the statue and began to comprehend the will of domination on the statue. The nominator's will on this statue was much stronger and more profound than the ones on the statues that Lu Ming had encountered before. Moreover, it was many times denser and deeper. It was naturally much more difficult to comprehend. However, Lu Ming was still extremely excited. He could sense that as he studied the statue, he gained a new understanding of the sovereign Tao and was able to use it more and more smoothly. He himself was only using the sovereign path in a barbaric manner, unable to display any of the wondrous aspects of the sovereign path. However, he could still comprehend some applications of the way of domination from this statue. Naturally, Lu Ming was eager to comprehend and absorb it. Cultivation knew no time. 5 years had passed in a flash. Lu Ming's comprehension of the Tao of domination was progressing at a rapid pace. He could already feel that he was about to break through. However, Lu Ming was not in a hurry to break through. Instead, he continued to comprehend for 2 years. Then, he took out a large number of divine stones and began to absorb them to break through to the next realm. Not long after, Lu Ming successfully broke through and his cultivation reached 6 stars Great Emperor in one go. With this statue, my cultivation has improved too quickly. I don't need 100 years to comprehend this. Lu Ming was in a good mood and was full of confidence after the breakthrough. After consolidating his cultivation, Lu Ming continued to study. Next, it was more difficult to break through. This time, Lu Ming spent more than 20 years before he successfully comprehended it. Gotcha. When Lu Ming had fully comprehended the sovereign's will on the statue, cracks appeared on the statue. Just like the statues Lu Ming had encountered before, they shattered. I've comprehended all of them. With my current understanding of the Tao of a ruler, I'm completely capable of breaking through. I'll break through. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He continued to take out divine stones and refine them crazily. This time, It took a few months for Lu Ming to break through and reach the peak of 7-star Great Emperor realm. The world energy and purple gold energy in his body became more and more intense. With a thought, his body was covered with the purple gold ruler's Tao. Lu Ming felt that he was filled with infinite energy. A casual blow from him could break the stone and shock the sky. He had reached the peak Great Emperor realm in the Tao of domination. Lu Ming could suppress ordinary peak heavenly emperors with his Tao of domination alone. In addition to his strength, which was equivalent to a peak heavenly emperor, Lu Ming's current combat strength was extremely terrifying. I wonder if I'm confident in fighting against a demigod. Lu Ming pondered. He wasn't sure since he hadn't fought with them, but he knew that a demigod was much stronger than a peak heavenly emperor. He had not fought before, so he was not confident. In less than 30 years, I've already comprehended this statue. Next, I'll focus on the word battle one. Lu Ming pondered. After consolidating his cultivation, he looked at the word battle. Waves of wonderful concepts emerged in Lu Ming's heart, and he began to comprehend them in detail. However, a few months later, Lu Ming ended his cultivation. He was a little bewildered. After a few months of comprehension, he felt that the battle word was unfathomable and mysterious beyond imagination. In the beginning, he seemed to have benefited a lot, but as he continued to comprehend, he became more and more confused. The word battle wasn't a martial technique, battle technique, or divine ability. It seemed to be an extremely profound intent realm. It was as if the word battle was the source of all battle. Whether it was battle techniques, martial arts, divine arts, or anything else, they were all included in the word battle one. All-encompassing, the true Paul was all-encompassing. Lu Ming had a feeling that as long as he understood the word combat, he would be able to use any combat techniques and divine abilities with ease. He would be able to use any weapon with ease. Amazing, this is amazing. Lu Ming was not shocked. Instead, he was overjoyed. He had a feeling that this was a great opportunity. As long as he seized it, he would benefit endlessly. Lu Ming started to comprehend again. Lu Ming had still underestimated the difficulty of comprehending the word battle. In the first 10 to 20 years, Lu Ming seemed to have been wandering in confusion, and it was difficult for him to gain anything. The difficulty of comprehending the word war was much more difficult than the way of the ruler. 20 years later, Lu Ming was finally at the beginner level. He had gained quite a lot and was on the right track. At this time, he had been on this island for 50 years. He had been in the Yellow Springs world for more than 100 years. Lu Ming was completely immersed in cultivation. He was like a sponge, desperately absorbing the water outside. Very soon, Lu Ming had been on this island for 80 years. There were only 20 years left before the 100-year period. Lu Ming was still in the midst of his comprehension and had not finished. In the center of the Yellow Springs Sea was a huge island. It was the largest island in this sea area. There were mountains and countless peaks above, and there were huge palaces built on many of them. This was the Yellow Springs Island. Chapter 2512 Fruit of Life. The Netherworld Island was the core of this place. At this moment, on the shore of the Yellow Springs Island, two floating bridges emerged almost at the same time, extending from a small island in the distance to this place. Two figures were running wildly on the floating bridge towards the Yellow Springs Island. One of them was the ancestral dragon, and the other was the non-human divine ancestor. The two of them landed on the Yellow Springs Island almost at the same time and were the first to land. When the two of them landed on the Yellow Springs Island, they found each other and sparks flew in their eyes. Ancestral dragon, you're pretty fast. The non-human divine ancestor sneered. You're not slow either. Zulong said. Cold, killing intent emanated from the two of them. But in the end, they both had their own concerns and did not make a move. At this moment, the two of them discovered at the same time that not far from them, there was a towering tree. This tree was extremely huge. It was at least a few hundred meters in diameter and was so tall that it reached the clouds. The entire tree, not only the trunk but also the leaves, were suffused with multicolored light. However, the most eye-catching thing was the fruit on the tree. There were 18 fruits in total, each the size of a fist. However, they immediately attracted the attention of the ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor. Life fruit, it's the life fruit. The non-human divine ancestor murmured, his eyes burning with fire. He had finally found the fruit of life. Didn't he enter the Yellow Springs world for the life fruit? With the fruits of life, his injuries could be healed. If he had enough fruits of life, sacred ancestor Bloodheart's injuries could also be healed. At that time, he would be able to easily flatten the heaven realm. At the same time, the ancestral dragon's eyes shone with a burning light. Buzz! Buzz! Almost at the same time, the two of them moved and pounced towards the life fruit. The two of them reached out their hands at the same time and grabbed at the life fruit. But at this moment, the entire tree of life glowed. Then, two roots reached out from the ground and whipped at the ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor. Bang! Bang! The power of the roots was unbelievably strong. The hands of the ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor were crushed, and they were forced back. The two of them had grave expressions on their faces. The next moment, the two of them moved again. They burst out with all their strength and revealed their strength to the extreme as they pounced toward the fruit tree of life. Voila! This time, the ground churned, and more than a dozen roots appeared all of a sudden, lashing at the two of them like a storm. Bang! Bang! The two of them continuously collided with the roots, and their bodies shook violently. They were sent flying far away, and they spat out blood at the same time. The two of them were actually injured. They were two martial gods, and yet they were injured by the roots of the fruit of life. If the people of the heaven realm and the evil god realm saw this, they would be shocked. The two of them had a gloomy look in their eyes. The ancestral dragon didn't feel anything, but the non-human divine ancestor's face was especially ugly. His desire for the life fruit was too strong, far stronger than the ancestral dragon's. Damn it! The non-human divine ancestor roared in anger. He had gone through so much to come here, but he couldn't get the life fruit? At this moment, the space above the fruit of life started to ripple. Then, a figure appeared out of thin air. It was a middle-aged man in a white robe. He looked very refined. He must have been a refined young master when he was young. The non-human divine ancestor and the ancestral dragon looked at this man with caution. That was because they could not see through this person's cultivation realm. This time, only the two of you are war gods. The elegant middle-aged man glanced at the ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor and asked in a soft voice. He seemed a little confused. Right now, the only martial gods in the outside world are the two of us. The non-human divine ancestor said. There are only two war gods left. Strange. What's happening outside? Where is this place? The middle-aged man mumbled to himself and then looked at the ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor. You want the fruit of life, right? The fruit of life only ripens once in countless years. It's not time for it to ripen yet. Not mature yet? The ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor were both dazed. That's right, it hasn't ripened yet, so if you want to pick it, the fruit tree of life will automatically attack. However, once it ripened, as long as you don't damage the fruit tree of life, it won't fight back. The elegant middle-aged man explained. How long will it take for the fruit of life to ripen? The non-human divine ancestor asked. So, this time, the life fruit is about to ripen. As for how long, I can't say. It'll take a few years if it's fast, or a few hundred years if it's slow. You just have to wait for a while. The elegant middle-aged man smiled. Then he looked into the distance and said in a low voice, "Can that little guy pass the test or not? I hope so. After all these years, someone has finally mastered the Tao of a sovereign. At least there's a bit of hope." With that, he turned around and disappeared. The ancestral dragon and the non-human sacred ancestor exchanged a glance, killing intent in their eyes. At most, a few hundred years was nothing to them. They just had to wait. When the life fruit ripened, the two of them would definitely have an intense battle to fight for it. The ancestral dragon, in particular, really wanted to kill the non-human divine ancestor. This was because the heaven realm would be in grave danger if the divine ancestor of the non-human race were to obtain more fruits of life. But in the end, they were still not confident. The two of them did not make a move rashly. They sat at the side and waited. Time flew by quickly. After several years, a third person finally arrived at the Yellow Springs Island. It was the heavenly realm's venerable Sky Thunder Emperor. A few months later, another unrivaled expert from the evil god tribe arrived. Then, more and more people came to Yellow Springs Island. 10 years later, hundreds of people from each side came to Yellow Springs Island. The test they passed was different for each of them. It didn't mean that those with low cultivation couldn't pass the test. Therefore, there were people with high and low cultivation on both sides. They had been warned by the ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor to stay away from the fruit of life. If anyone below the martial god level was struck by the roots of the fruit of life, they would really die. Everyone waited in silence. Suddenly, a burst of rich fragrance came from the fruit of life. This fragrance made people feel comfortable all over as all the pores on their bodies opened up. Some people's hidden injuries were quickly recovering. The life fruit had ripened. Everyone was shocked. Buzz, buzz. The ancestral dragon and the non-human sacred ancestor were the fastest to react. They rushed toward the fruit of life. This time, when they approached the fruit tree of life, the fruit tree of life didn't attack. The life fruit had ripened. Ancestral dragon, die. The non-human divine ancestor suddenly roared, turned around, and charged toward the ancestral dragon. You're the one who's going to die. The ancestral dragon had the same thought as he charged at the non-human divine ancestor. The two martial god powerhouses were engaged in a fierce battle. Chapter 25:14. Only 7. The two martial god experts engaged in an intense battle. No one was allowed to approach the fruit of life. The people below the martial god also seized the opportunity and rushed toward the fruit tree of life. Both sides had more than 2 people each. How could 18 life fruits be enough to split? Naturally, an intense battle began. There were more than 100 chaotic battles, and the strength of both sides was similar. The battle was difficult to determine, and soon, someone fell. The heavenly Thunder Emperor was fighting a demigod from the evil god tribe. Qin Tsang, the Titan Bull, and the others all had their own opponents. The area around the fruit of life was boiling, and the energy was chaotic. Bang, bang. The ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor had fought for hundreds of rounds in the sky. Both sides wanted to obtain the life fruit, but they didn't want the other to obtain it. Naturally, they had to go all out. Don't linger in the battle. Snatch the fruit. The non-human divine ancestor sent a message to his subordinates. All of the evil god tribe members attacked the heaven realm beings with all their might. They then seized the opportunity to rush toward the life fruit. Not good, snatch the life fruit. The heaven realm's living beings also roared as they all pounced towards the life fruit. For a time, each of the 18 fruits of life was targeted by 10 people. Everyone surrounded the life fruit and started another round of chaotic battle. However, there were still fruits of life that were taken away. The first fruit of life had been taken by the demigod of the evil god tribe, but soon after, the heavenly Thunder Emperor had also obtained one. Both sides exchanged blows, and in the blink of an eye, a few fruits of life were taken away. Buzz. All of a sudden, an ordinary-looking member of the evil god race emitted a shocking blood-red light. Then, a drop of blood flew out and turned into a human figure. Its appearance could not be seen clearly, and the blood on its body squirmed as it emitted a shocking killing intent. Kill! The blood-red figure rushed out, and a blood-red light was like a sword, killing a few heaven realm creatures. Those few heaven emperor creatures were directly killed. Saint Ancestor Bloodheart. The ancestral dragon roared. Ha! Although my killing heart is far from recovered, I still have the power of a demigod. Let's see how you can block it. The non-human divine ancestor roared. The sacred ancestor Bloodheart had the power of a demigod and was almost immortal. He was too powerful. In the heaven realm, no one was his match except for the heavenly Thunder Emperor. Wherever he went, All the creatures in the heaven realm were either killed or injured. Sacred Ancestor Bloodheart took several life fruits in a row. Very quickly, all 18 life fruits were picked. Saint Ancestor Bloodheart set his eyes on the heaven realm beings who had picked the fruits of life and charged at them. Damn it! Don't even think about it. Die! The ancestral dragon roared and turned into a true dragon. His body was covered in flames and his aura was rising. Ancestral dragon, you're crazy. Do you want to die? The non-human divine ancestor roared in shock. At most, we'll die together. The ancestral dragon roared and charged at the non-human sacred ancestor. Boom, boom. The non-human divine ancestor was knocked back and his body trembled. The ancestral dragon was going all out. He burned his life force to kill Sacred Ancestor Bloodheart and the non-human Sacred Ancestor. Now, the other race had obtained even more fruits of life. If they were to recover, the consequences would be severe. It would be better to die together with them. You're crazy! The non-human divine ancestor roared and didn't dare to fight. He dashed towards Sacred Ancestor Bloodheart, who turned into a beam of blood light and disappeared into the non-human divine ancestor. Let's go! The non-human divine ancestor shouted and rushed toward the depths of Yellow Spring Island. Stay here! The ancestral dragon roared and glared at the non-human divine ancestor as he pounced. The two of them fought fiercely, clashing continuously. The non-human divine ancestor was injured, but he didn't want to fight at all. He just wanted to run. Now that the alien races had gotten more fruits of life, he didn't need to risk his life to fight against the ancestral dragon. As long as he could recover in the future, they would be the ones to succeed. The ancestral dragon and the non-human saint ancestor went deep into the Netherworld Island, while the other non-human beings also rushed to the mountains and palaces. The Yellow Spring Island was vast, with countless mountains and palaces. Although the heaven realm beings pursued with all their might, their strength was no match for the other party, and they soon lost track of the foreign tribe. The ancestral dragon chased for a while, but he couldn't catch up with the non-human divine ancestor. The other party escaped and disappeared into the mountains. Zhu Long's expression was extremely ugly. He retreated and began to gather the heaven realm beings. He had just burned his life force origin, so he appeared to be a little weak and dispirited. Soon, the creatures of the heavenly realm gathered here. Senior Ancestral Dragon, you've burned your life source. Quickly swallow a life fruit to stabilize your injuries. A heaven realm being walked out and handed over a life fruit. Although the fruit of life was extremely precious and he was reluctant to part with it, he understood that the ancestral dragon was the key to the heaven realm. Without the ancestral dragon, it would be useless no matter how many fruits of life he obtained. All right, I'll remember this life fruit. I'll give you the appropriate compensation. Ancestral Dragon nodded and didn't stand on ceremony. He took the life fruit and swallowed it to refine it. A few days later, the Ancestral Dragon's aura stabilized. As expected of the life fruit. Zhu Long sighed. The effect of the fruit of life was truly shocking. The energy of the fruit of life was still far from being refined, but he had stabilized it because of the consumption from burning his life source. In the future, as long as he continued to refine the life fruit, the injuries he had suffered in the past would slowly recover. How many life fruits did we get this time? Zhu Long asked. Senior Ancestral Dragon, I'll take one. I also have one. Immediately, those heaven realm beings who had obtained the life fruit walked out one after another. There were a total of 6, and with the one that the Ancestral Dragon had swallowed, there were 7 in total. The Ancestral Dragon and the beings of the heaven realm all had ugly expressions. In that case, the evil god tribe had obtained a total of 11. 11 pills are enough for Moke and Murderer Xen to recover. The Ancestral Dragon muttered with a gloomy face. Although Sacred Ancestor Bloodheart's injuries were severe and only a wisp of her bloodline was left, she would definitely recover with so many life fruits. This would be a great disaster for the heaven realm. Senior Ancestral Dragon, I'm willing to give this life fruit to you. Me too. Those who got the fruits of life all gave them to the Ancestral Dragon. They still knew the severity of the situation. Alright, I'll take them all. I'll heal my injuries first. If there's any more, I'll give it to the other injured experts to help them recover. Also, if you need anything, just tell me, Zulong said. At this time, he did not hold back. Moreover, the battle in the ancient past had been extremely tragic. Not only was the ancestral dragon injured, but there were also other experts. For example, the Peak Heavenly Emperor, the Titan Bull, and the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm. However, their injuries had already recovered. In the Heaven Realm, just like them, there were many who had been injured in the ancient times. There were even demigods. Chapter 2514. Above the martial god realm, this netherworld island is full of mountains and palaces. It might contain some opportunities. Let's form a team and explore it. Then, the ancestral dragon looked at the mountains and got the heaven realm beings to form small teams and enter the mountains to explore and see if they could find any opportunities. As for Lu Ming, he was still on the island, comprehending the word battle one. He had been on this island for 90 years. After so many years of comprehension, he had benefited a lot. The word battle was too exquisite. As Lu Ming comprehended it, his combat experience deepened greatly. Although he did not have any combat skills or divine abilities, Lu Ming's fighting spirit soared to the sky whenever he made a move. Every move he made was filled with powerful combat power. His previous battle skills and sacred arts were much more powerful now. The word combat was too intriguing. In other words, in the future, no matter what combat skills or divine abilities Lu Ming cultivated, the power would be enhanced. No matter what weapon he used, he would be able to display the strongest power. This was battle. As long as it was related to battle, it would be improved. Although Lu Ming's cultivation level had not improved in the decades that he had comprehended the battle character, his combat strength had increased by a notch. Now, he was even more confident. In the past, he didn't have much confidence when facing an unrivaled demigod. Now, he was confident that he could fight. Buzz. Boosh. Boom. Boom. At the bottom of the cliff, Lu Ming's body flashed and he flew around, casting all kinds of divine powers. Under the enhancement of the battle character, the power of these divine powers was increased by a notch. This cultivation lasted for 9 days and 9 nights. Lu Ming only stopped after 9 days and 9 nights. Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief, his eyes bright. Satisfying, this is really satisfying. Lu Ming laughed heartily. Gotcha. At this moment, a crack appeared on the word battle. Then, more and more cracks appeared. Finally, with a bang, it exploded. It was exactly the same as the statue from before. Lu Ming had completely understood the word battle. When the battle word cracked, the void flickered, and the man with transparent wings reappeared. Not bad. To be able to fully comprehend this battle formula within 100 years, you have good talent. The transparent winged man nodded, and a hint of excitement flashed through the depths of his eyes. Senior, can I enter the next stage now? Lu Ming said. Next round? That's all, this is the last stage. The man with the transparent wings smiled. The last stage? Then I can go to the Yellow Springs Island. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Okay, I'll send you there. The man with the transparent wings nodded and waved his hand. A disc array flew out and hovered above Lu Ming's head. A beam of light shot out from the disc array and enveloped Lu Ming. Lu Ming felt that he had stepped into the teleportation array. The next moment his body disappeared from there. He spun in the air. After a while, Lu Ming found himself in a wide hall. Where is this place? Could it be the Yellow Springs Island? Lu Ming was a little stunned. He had thought that he would appear on the island, but he had not expected to appear in a hall. Lu Ming looked around. The hall was empty except for a statue at the very top. Lu Ming was shocked. Wasn't this the statue that he had been looking at previously? However, the statue here did not seem to be in control at all. Lu Ming was a little disappointed. At this moment, a shadow flickered in the sky, and a figure appeared. It was a refined middle-aged man in a white robe. This middle-aged man was the one who had appeared above the fruit of life and warned Zhu Long and the others. Congratulations on passing all the checkpoints and coming here. The elegant middle-aged man smiled. Lu Ming of the junior generation greets the senior. Lu Ming cupped his fists. I'm White Tooth. Lu Ming, you've mastered the path of domination. It's a rare talent for you. It's very similar to what Master has cultivated. The elegant middle-aged man smiled. The Tao of a sovereign? Senior, is there really such a Tao in the world? This is a name I randomly came up with. Lu Ming asked hurriedly. Randomly named? Ah, that's a coincidence. That's right, there's indeed the way of the Master in the world. Once one cultivates the way of the Master and breaks through to the martial god realm, he can control the divine power of the Master, which is an extremely high-level divine power. White Tooth said, the war god level and a sovereign's divine power? Lu Ming was puzzled. That's something for the battle god realm. Your cultivation is still weak, so you don't have to worry about it. Of course, Baiya said, most importantly, you've passed all the stages and arrived here. You've also cultivated the path of a ruler and can inherit Master's inheritance. Inheritance? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Let me tell you, my Master is an extremely powerful existence with unparalleled talent and unfathomable cultivation base. The entire Netherworld Mountain is one of my Master's treasures. White Tooth said. Lu Ming gasped, his heart in turmoil. The entire Netherworld Mountain was a treasure of Master White Tooth. Heavens! The area of Netherworld Mountain was comparable to the 9 heavenly regions of the Heaven Realm combined. It was vast and there were countless creatures living there, even martial gods. In addition, Lu Ming had encountered several experts on the Netherworld Island. The man with transparent wings and the elegant man in front of him were both unfathomable. Lu Ming suspected that they were both at the martial god realm. It was obvious that the Master White Tooth had mentioned was stronger than the martial god. Someone even stronger than the martial god actually existed in this world? Before this, Lu Ming had thought that the martial god was the most powerful existence in the world. However, it seemed that he was far from it. There were existences even more powerful than the war god. It was said that Netherworld Mountain came from beyond the sky. Therefore, there must be an existence stronger than the martial god realm in the so-called beyond the sky. Lu Ming's heart was filled with yearning and anticipation. With his cultivation base, he was almost at the peak. In the entire heaven realm, the evil god tribe did not have many opponents. Now that he knew that there were stronger people above the martial god realm, Lu Ming had even higher goals. I can obtain the inheritance of such an existence? At the thought of this, Lu Ming's heart was burning. My master's name is Jianghu, and this statue here is my master. You must have seen my master's statue in many places before, right? That's because this treasure belongs to my master, and that's why there are many places where my master's statue is enshrined. White Tooth said. Lu Ming had a sudden realization. He finally understood why there was a statue in every cursed land. Unfortunately, my master is dead. He was harmed by evil people. Meanwhile, we and this Netherworld Mountain are sealed here. For generations, we will never be able to leave. Baiya's eyes flashed with a hint of ferocity and killing intent. Chapter 25:16 Shocking Feather Inheritance. A painting Baiya merely exuded a trace of his aura, but Lu Ming felt a chill all over his body. With his current cultivation, facing Baiya was like an ant facing an elephant. He had no way of resisting. Terrifying, extremely terrifying. This was Lu Ming's feeling. He had a feeling that if White Teeth wanted to attack him, he could kill him with a snap of his fingers. This was something that neither the ancestral dragon nor the non-human race's divine ancestor felt. Lu Ming was even more shocked. An existence like White Tooth had actually been sealed here, unable to leave for generations. Also, the owner of the white teeth, Jianghu, was definitely even more powerful. Yet, he was killed by someone. How powerful must their enemy be? Also, there were many cursed lands in Netherworld Mountain. Were they also the means of their enemies? Many thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. However, there is always a way out. There is always a chance of survival in the dark. Every 10,000 years, the seal of Netherworld Mountain will loosen, and you people from the outside world can come in. We've been looking for a suitable candidate to inherit Master's legacy. Unfortunately, there are only a few people who come in from the outside every time, and those with great talent are extremely rare. We've been waiting for a long time, and you've finally come. Whitetooth said. Senior, if you want me to inherit Senior Jingye's legacy, there should be some requirements, right? Lu Ming said. Baiya looked at Lu Ming with admiration. You're very smart. Not bad, you do have a request. I can tell you that Master was framed and wronged by others back then. He died with injustice, and his bloodline is forever sealed here. Therefore, if you want to inherit Master's inheritance, you must swear on your life source that you will avenge Master in the future, clear his injustice, and save us. Indeed, Lu Ming knew that it was not simple. Senior, given your cultivation level or Senior Jingyu's, how can I do it if I'm not his match? Lu Ming smiled bitterly. You may not be able to do it now, but it doesn't mean you won't be able to do it in the future. There's no time limit for this matter. With your talent, you might be able to surpass Master in the future. Although this is difficult, there is still some hope. I can tell you that what you've obtained and comprehended before is only one part of Master's inheritance. If you can obtain Master's inheritance, you'll be able to avoid many detours in the future. Baiya started to tempt Lu Ming. Lu Ming's mind was racing. The owner of the White Fangs, Jianghu, was obviously a terrifying existence. His cultivation had exceeded Lu Ming's imagination. There would definitely be great danger in avenging such a person. However, Lu Ming immediately thought of the evil god tribe. If the non-human race's divine ancestor and the Bloodheart divine ancestor were to recover, he probably wouldn't even be able to get past the evil god tribe. Everyone in the heaven realm would have to die, including his family and friends. As for agreeing to Baiya's request to avenge Jianghu, that was something that would happen many years later. Even if he failed, he would be the only one to die. Furthermore, if he could obtain the inheritance of an existence on Jingye's level, he might have a way to fight against the evil god race. At the thought of this, Lu Ming had already made a decision. All right, Senior, I agree. Lu Ming said. All right, you're right. Baiya was overjoyed and said, however, you still have to swear on your life source. Swearing on life source was completely different from a blood oath. A martial supreme could already resist a blood oath. However, if one were to make an oath on one's life force origin and use it directly on one's life force origin, even a martial god would find it difficult to resist it, let alone a martial supreme. If one were to break the oath, they would be subject to terrible punishment. At once, Lu Ming followed Baiya's request and swore the life origin oath. Senior, I still don't know who Senior Jingyu's enemy is. Lu Ming said. They didn't even know who their enemy was, so how could they take revenge? Do you know about the Great Void Holy Dynasty? Baiya asked after a moment of silence. Great Void Holy Dynasty? I've never heard of it. Lu Ming shook his head. Haven't you heard? It's normal that you haven't heard of it. Those fellows must have sealed us in a very remote place. You should have heard of the Boundless Galaxy, right? Whitetooth said. The Boundless Galaxy? Lu Ming was even more dumbfounded. I've never heard of the Boundless Galaxy either, but what about the Primal Universe? You should have heard of it, right? Whitetooth said. Lu Ming shook his head vigorously. You haven't even heard of the Primal Universe? Baiya was dumbfounded. He looked at Lu Ming, tongue-tied. Lu Ming could not help but touch his nose. He had really not heard of it. Could it be that not hearing of it was a very embarrassing thing? Where did those guys seal us? We haven't even heard of the primeval universe. No wonder so few geniuses have entered in the past few years. Ruthless. Those guys are really ruthless. They want us to never be able to make a comeback. Whiteteeth's face was gloomy as he gritted his teeth. Lu Ming was very smart and did not say a word. After a long while, Whiteteeth finally calmed down. You don't know anything. Even if I tell you, you won't be able to explain it clearly. How about this? You will inherit Master's inheritance first. After Baya finished speaking, a picture scroll appeared in his hand. When he unrolled the picture scroll, a young man was drawn on it. He was extraordinarily handsome and extremely lifelike. It was none other than the owner of the White Fangs, Jianghu. Moreover, the Dominator's will that was emitted from this portrait was shockingly rich. It was many times more intense than any statue that Lu Ming had come into contact with. Lu Ming, use your path of domination to resonate with Master's portrait. Then, you will naturally be able to inherit Master's legacy. White Tooth said. Lu Ming nodded and immediately activated the path of domination. As expected, the moment he used his sovereign Dao, the scroll began to exude a violet gold light. After a moment, the picture scroll turned into a ray of light and flew into Lu Ming's mind. At this moment, Lu Ming seemed to see a young man standing in his sea of consciousness with his hands behind his back. His entire body was emitting a dazzling purple gold light. It was a vast Dominator-s will. Fight! At this moment, the young man shouted, and the word fight flew out. The word battle was filled with an ancient aura, as if it had transcended countless years and come from the long river of time. It seemed to represent the source of all the battles in this world. It was mysterious and unfathomable. It was many times more mysterious than the battle character that Lu Ming had previously comprehended. After a long while, all the strange phenomena in Lu Ming's mind disappeared. There were only two things left in his sea of consciousness. It was a painting. It was an ancient battle character. As for other information, there was nothing at all. There was also no cultivation technique or secret manual. Lu Ming was greatly disappointed. How is it? What did you obtain from Master's inheritance? White Teeth asked. Just two things. The picture scroll and an ancient battle character. There's no other information. Lu Ming was a little disappointed. I see. I understand now. Master has sealed everything in the scroll. Your cultivation must be too low, so you can't get any information, White Tooth said. Chapter 25:17, 180 Life Fruits. Lu Ming was really speechless. His cultivation was too low? One had to know that with his body and the path of a ruler, he was confident that he could fight a demigod. Now, in the entire heaven realm, the evil god realm, and the primordial realm, how many people were his match? However, in Baya's eyes, his cultivation level was too low. Don't worry. As long as you make a breakthrough in your cultivation, the seal in the scroll will be opened. Not only will it contain Master's cultivation technique, but it will also contain some information about Master's enemies. White Tooth said. Lu Ming nodded. Boy, you look very disappointed. You really don't know how lucky you are. Do you know how envious I am? Do you know how profound the word battle you obtained is? What kind of background does he have? That's the ancient word origin, do you understand? If it were in the prehistoric universe, I'm afraid countless terrifying existences would fight each other to the death. White Teeth cried out, his eyes filled with envy. Ancient word of origin? Lu Ming continued to be dumbfounded. He realized that he could not understand what Baiyo was saying. Forget it. You won't understand even if I say so much. Remember, when you travel in the primeval universe in the future, you must try not to expose the secret of this battle character formula. Otherwise, it will bring you a fatal disaster. Also, the battle character that you comprehended before is only 1/1,000,000th, no, 1/1,000,000,000th of the original ancient character. Therefore, you should study this battle character more in the future. The benefits it will bring you are unimaginable. This battle character was discovered by Master by accident. He hasn't comprehended it much, so others don't know about it at all. Otherwise, those guys wouldn't have left behind an inheritance. White Teeth said a bunch of things. Lu Ming did not seem to understand. He could only remember everything in his heart. Also, this is for you. A storage ring appeared in Baya's hand and he threw it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming received it and was overjoyed. A storage ring. There should be some treasures inside. Lu Ming's spiritual senses probed into it. The next moment, Lu Ming revealed a look of disappointment. The items in the storage ring were very simple. There was a sword and a huge wooden box. With a single thought, the combat sword appeared in Lu Ming's hands. This weapon, Lu Ming sensed it and then channeled the world energy into it. He immediately felt that this combat sword was like a bottomless pit. There was a strong devouring power that was frantically devouring the world energy in his body. Lu Ming was so frightened that he quickly cut off the connection between him and the combat sword. It was so terrifying. Lu Ming felt that if this combat sword were to burst out, its power would be many times stronger than the Heaven Dao soldier. This is a divine weapon, a weapon specially used by a martial god. With your current cultivation, you can't control it at all. Its energy will be sucked dry. You can use it when you have a breakthrough in your cultivation, White Tooth said. A divine artifact. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He finally knew the name of the martial god's special weapon. This was because both sides had used weapons of this level in the battle between the ancestral dragon and the divine ancestor. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Such a weapon was a priceless treasure. Lu Ming kept it back into his storage ring and took out the wooden box. When he opened it, a strong medicinal fragrance immediately assailed his nose. In the wooden boxes were many crystal-clear fruits. The life essence was shockingly rich. Lu Ming was shocked. He felt that the medicinal fragrance emitted by the fruit was very similar to that of the life or death pill. However, it was much richer. This is a life fruit. Baya explained, the fruit tree of life on the Netherworld Island will bear fruit once in a long period of time. However, for you outsiders, the myriad tribulation will only come once. Therefore, I've collected the fruits that bear at other times. There are a total of 180 fruits of life here. They are quite effective. You can take them. Thump. Boom. Lu Ming's heart was beating wildly. The fruits of life, and 180 at that. Overjoyed. Lu Ming was truly overjoyed. Lu Ming ignored by Yas not bad one. Not only was the medicinal effect pretty good, it was simply a supreme treasure. Lu Ming had seen the effects of the life or death pill before. The injuries that the Titan longhorn beetle and the 9 lives devilish silkworm could not recover from even after countless years had mostly been healed in a few days. The fruit of life was even more effective. The ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestors had fought so hard for the fruit of life. But now, Lu Ming had obtained 180 of them at once. Lu Ming quickly closed the lid of the wooden box and kept it. Lu Ming was overjoyed and satisfied. He had gained a lot this time. All right, I've explained and given you what I should. Now I'll send you out, White Tooth said. How do we get out? Lu Ming asked. There's a boat on one side of the Netherworld Island. You can take the boat and leave directly. I'll send a message to everyone on the island immediately, White Tooth said. Senior, wait. Lu Ming called out hurriedly. What's the matter? White Teeth asked. Senior, are there any 3-eyed people on this island? Lu Ming asked. That's right. There's even a martial god among them, White Tooth said. Senior, can you kill that 3-eyed martial god? Lu Ming said. If they could kill the divine ancestor of the non-human race, everything would be solved. No. Baya shook his head. We've been sealed here and are under many restrictions. We can't help you kill. Those people are your enemies, right? It's better for you to deal with them yourself. If you can 11 even deal with such weak enemies, how are you going to face stronger enemies in the future? How are you going to avenge Master? After saying that, Bai Ya's figure moved and disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming was simply speechless. That was the war god and he was weak. Lu Ming finally realized that his values and thoughts were completely different from Bai Ya's. There was no way to compare them. Not long after White Tooth left, he returned. All right, I've already spread the news. I'll send you out now. With that, Baya waved his hand and Lu Ming disappeared. The next moment, Lu Ming appeared on a mountain peak. Big brother Qing Tsang. The moment Lu Ming appeared, he saw a few people flying in one direction in the distance. Brother Lu Ming. Qing Tsang was overjoyed to see Lu Ming and flew over. Brother Lu Ming, let's go. Senior ancestral dragon has gathered us. Qing Tsang said. All right. Lu Ming nodded and followed Qing Tsang and the rest in a certain direction. Not long after, they met up not far from the Fruit of Life. Little Qing, Dan. Lu Ming saw Xian Yanqing and Dandan. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.